resolution, okay. We'll go ahead and call this public hearing session to order. I know it's a little after 6. We apologize. Just have to tell you folks, we've got a lot on the consent agenda to go through. We're going to start off with the resolutions and proclamations. I think Dr. Parrott, you're presenting Miss Merriman's.
Before we get started, can we get Brian to show us these things?
Okay. Brian, can you show us these new fluting things that we're...
Yes, sir. What I want you all to try right now, I just started the meeting. You should have a present button on all your devices at this point. If you can go ahead and log in.
Mine said log out.
I'm present. The print swallowed.
Well, it's saying log out, Brian.
It's already gotten you on present though.
Okay. So we don't do anything? I thought that was your cell phone you kept pushing over.
That looks good, guys. Isn't that great?
Okay, from where we are right now, how do we, it doesn't give us any options since log out. When we go to something, it'll come up.
Basically, you have no options in front of you, so there's nothing you can do. As you get an option, it will become visible on your screen. So if you don't see anything, that means there's no action possible. As I do this, I'm going to start it to discuss. So let's go ahead and discuss something and speak to talk. Who requests to speak? Do a couple of requests to speak like we're in a meeting.
That's the RTS button.
Yes, RPS is request to speak. Okay, I see a few of you. And then you called on Yeager, for instance. Yeager's done talking. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to two. See the
Yes.
number 10?
That's lightly
We
touched.
can cancel our request to speak.
Yes.
That's a good function.
Yes, they've added so many.
Except that you go to speak on something that somebody else already knows.
You're already logged in. So there's nothing really you can do.
Well, he was pressing RTS and it's not doing anything.
Request to speak, that's fine.
You tried to, see, right now you can just cancel it, it really doesn't hold you.
What did RTS stand for?
Request to speak.
Amendment.
And the other thing you can do
Yeah,
right
I
now is
noticed
you
that,
can make it somebody's already hit motion. So you could amend the motion, or you can speak.
Something else before that.
And I dropped mine out. Because I thought that may have been the case too.
We could have trained on this before the meeting started.
Did yours work?
Okay, it's shown an accept for your, now that should show you request to speak.
Yes.
In this meeting, 1 second, we'll try this one more time.
It's asking for my password to log in. That's, I hope he can do this for me.
Okay, now everybody do roll call one more time. Should be present on your screen again.
Mine says log in.
Yeah, check again, it should come up with a present.
Then hit, yeah. Mine's.
Log in, Phil. If
Oh, there we go.
I shut down the system, it makes you have to hit log in one more time. Hopefully, we won't have to shut the system down, but if something like that were to happen, just hit log in one more time.
Yep, we did it.
And that puts you all back in.
Yep,
Everybody
Phil.
can file.
there he is.
There you get it. And so now I can start the meeting, so I'll go ahead and push it into the next phase.
McCain.
Got one absent. And now let's discuss. Somebody press request to speak. Okay.
Tim's doing the same thing.
The chairman, when the chairman requests to speak, it's a different button apparently. They didn't tell me about that.
Hey, Jerry, everybody push their RPS button. Make sure it's working.
Tell Mr. Creasy to do the same.
Let me see what shows yours, 'cause yours is different than everybody else.
His is working.
You don't speak anyway, that's probably what it is. That's why they're doing it then, because they're the ones that make all this. So at this point, you just sit there until there's something else that comes up. As we do it, the screen will tell us.
Press amend and to see what happens. Okay, so that's what it is then. Okay.
Bill, does yours work?
I took it off just to
He, he tried his amend button and it is working.
I'm seeing a new motion, you're wanting to do new motions when you're getting the amendment. Okay, so I don't know that we'll actually even do that unless you need a new motion actually be recorded, so I would just ignore that function. We'll get into that next month. Now, Tim, when you're calling roll, when you're actually working with him, Warfield will be first, see the one beside his name, and as he finishes, I'll close Warfield.
Those numbers are awful small.
So it's a numeric
So
system.
I'm always stand on number one.
You're always
Look at the numbers though. I mean, I'm glad that only the chair
number
needs to
two
see
will
those
come
little numbers in the
number
yellow
one.
squares.
Just keep stepping
Well, I
Yeah.
just canceled
In those little
mine.
yellow squares, there's a number.
Is
I can
Fritz
read
number
them,
one,
but
does that
I
say
think
one
I got
now?
my glasses.
Okay, so it is moving up.
Yeah, if you all change.
I don't think I
decide
can
not to
read those.
talk, you can cancel
Well,
your
I guess I still
request to
can with
speak.
my left eye. I can still read those numbers.
Yeah, it'll say it, there's
The
a
one that I
cancel
had the
button.
lens.
Cancel it, then you don't get it. But, that's pretty much it, and then the voting is basically. In the one. So, at this point, everybody cancels their request, and I say, you'll see if yes or no for the vote. Now, guys, we have the ability to do a motion and a second on the motion. If you all choose to use this feature, we go forward, somebody starts the motion, instead of you say you want a motion and then press your button, it'll show up on the screen. Then all of your devices will light up with a second. And anybody can hit the second, it'll record you first, and it'll get your second. Then that, as soon as you all complete it, it'll send it on to Kim, and get a printout of it, and she can log what the first and second was, and who did it.
So we do not have to
mine-
verbally say second.
Well, I'm assuming it's recorded parliamentary, if that's what you all.
You still, whoever, when you push the motion,
Yeah,
then that person has to speak on the motion.
Yeah,
and then somebody can second on that.
yeah.
Then it'll just log it, it's like Teresa Scott, first motion, second motion, Shane
Well,
Biden.
but that's what I was gonna ask, is because I hit the button for a motion, and then it came up that Jerry White seconded. Now it's telling me I can amend it, and it's showing that the motion is now Jerry White and Jerry Creasy seconded. But it's telling me to amend it.
If you need to change the motion, or the motion, you could, but see, we're not.
But it's not showing that I made a motion. How should I, in other words,
You made it first, what you're saying.
is what it's saying here.
Started all over.
And then Teresa just, yeah, I rebooted it, see, I started off the system, I think you had already done it. Or amend, see what it does. I'm curious, because I haven't had you all in here.
I'm
to
hitting
see.
amend and it doesn't do
It
it.
doesn't do it, I bet back on my panel, it's got a request to amend that I need to approve, let me check that.
Give me a heads up, though. I'm stuck.
Go ahead and start. Dr. Parrott, now we're ready for you. Thank you, sir.
Come on down.
We're honored tonight to come and do this resolution for Ms. Hoppy Angela Merriman, and I've never read one up here, so I hope I get it right. So the Anderson County Board of Commissioners Resolution 18-08-710, resolution honoring Hoppy Merriman, Angela Merriman, for her dedicated service to the students of Anderson County. Whereas the Anderson County Board of Commissioners believe that classroom success is immediately attributable to the dedicated teachers who make up the foundation for Anderson County schools. One such teacher stands above all benchmark standards for educational excellence and is directly responsible for the success of many Anderson County students entering college. And whereas Ms. Hoppy Merriman has served as the program director for the highly successful Gear Up, which means gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate program since its inception in 2012, and whereas the Gear Up program is designed to increase the number of low-income students who are prepared to enter the success in post-secondary education, and whereas due to the remarkable efforts and astounding achievements of Hoppy and the school system, was recently awarded a new grant for over $900,000 to continue this highly successful program through the 2024 school year. And whereas since its inception of the Gear Up program, Hoppy has worked with over 3,500 Anderson County school students, helping with college campus visits, career education, FAFSA nights for students and parents, and academic celebration to award those who have excelled in this program. And whereas Hoppy's diligent work ethic fosters profound results, and the proof lies within the testing. To wit, Anderson County has seen its average ACT score dramatically increase, which in turn means more financial support for students entering college. And whereas Hoppy has seen many of her students go on to further their education and succeed in the college classroom, she has seen students accepted to a variety of schools, including MIT, Princeton, Duke, University of Richmond, Berea College, Alabama, Auburn, and the University of Tennessee, just to name a few. Now therefore be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in the regular session this 20th day of August 2018 that we honor and greatly admire the terrific work of Hoppy Merriman in helping our students achieve excellence long after they leave Anderson County school system. Thank you for a job well done. Duly passed and approved this 20th day of August 2018. Tim Isabel, Chairman, Terry Frank, Mayor, and Jeff Cole, County Clerk.
Thank you very much. This probably should say a resolution honoring a whole lot of people in Anderson County, including all of our teaching staff, our administrators, our guidance counselors. When Gear Up came to Anderson County in our first grant, we didn't really know what we were getting into. We just knew we wanted to send more students to college, and we wanted to help more students dream big dreams. And in doing so, it took a lot of manpower to make that happen. So everyone in our school system is really involved in this effort. I'm just blessed to get to head it up. Grateful to the finance department and purchasing here in the courthouse, because we've pushed about close to 1.4 million through in the first grant. $30,000 worth of equipment, and then a receipt for $24 where we took 4 kids to see a college and we ate at Pizza Inn. So we've caused a lot of work for them, but they never complain. They're just grateful to see us taking students to have opportunities to do things. To the Chamber of Commerce and our business partners and our college partners, these are folks that we could not do this without. And they are always willing to come on their own time, on their own money, to interact with our students and to show our students the many opportunities that are in Anderson County. So on behalf of all of our teachers, counselors, administrators, parents, and students, we thank you. Thank you for noticing the work that's going on, and thank you for your support.
Good job.
Yes, I have to go meet with some parents and students after football practice.
Congratulations, Hoppy. So well deserved. Thank you, Dr. Parrott. Next up, who's going to read the resolution for Commissioner Alderson? Mayor, sorry, I didn't mean to fuss you.
That's okay, Mr. Chairman. Being called first.
Don't let it happen again, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have the pleasure, Commissioner Alderson, you may step up to the podium here with me. He probably dreads this. I don't have a piece of paper or any remarks, but I'll try to keep it, as I say, above the line. But seriously, on a personal note, not only is he one of my best friends, now I gotta give you a resolution. And I'm gonna try to not cry. Seriously, his dad and my dad served together 30 years ago. We're showing our age. Now he and I serve together actually on commission. That's right. Some of y'all remember that. So, you know, we'll be out fishing. He'll say, my gosh, Rick, he said, can you believe this happened? He said, our dads just turned over in their grave twice. Yeah, you're right, you know, because everybody knows back in the day, everything changes. But this has all been a good thing. If they thought when we were growing up, watching them campaigns, standing in the back of a pickup truck, giving these political speeches, if they ever thought that me and him would be on the same commission, they would have never dreamed of it. Or shot us one, or yeah, they would have advised us to. So anyhow, on a personal note, he's a true statesman for Anderson County. There's no question about it. And this resolution, I want to thank Law Director Yeager for putting this together. It really hits on all cylinders. So with that, Mr. Statesman, I'm going to present this resolution to you. Whereas many men and women have served as a member of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners, but no one has left a legacy quite like Commissioner Mark Alderson. And whereas Commissioner Alderson began his service on the Board of Commissioners in 1998 and quickly earned a reputation as a voice of reason and garnered great admiration for his fellow commissioners. And whereas during the course of his career, Mark slowly etched a reputation and everlasting legacy for sound decision. Whereas Commissioner Alderson led this county through some of the most difficult times, chair of the jail planning expansion project, highly successful alternatives to the incarceration program, leading county through Clinton annexation, and serving as county mayor at the loss of the former mayor. Whereas he earned the respect of his peers and chosen as the county commission chair, operations committee chair, nominating committee chair, highway committee chair, budget committee chair, purchasing committee chair. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners, meeting in regular session this 20th day of August, that we've all been honored to have served such a remarkable man led this county through difficult times. The Anderson County Board of Commissioners will certainly be at a loss without the leadership of Commissioner Alderson. Be it further resolved, we declare September 4th as Mark Alderson Day in Anderson County in honor of his 20-year career service to the citizens of Anderson County. All right. Hear, hear.
Thank you all. I actually have my campaign staff here. My wife, Candy, my granddaughter, Abby, my daughter, Katie, and my son, Jonathan. They're the advisors, the campaign staff, the doers and donors. I also have, which I'm very, very thankful for, 20 out of the next month, it'll be 38 years we've been married, so 20 years she's put up with commission. So I have two famous sayings from her, and you all can ask her. She's not afraid to tell you that I'm head of the house, but she's the neck that turns it. And then even tonight, my last meeting, which I halfway dread, is her famous words before I leave is not be careful, see you later, love you, whatever. Don't embarrass me tonight. And I love her dearly for it. But it's been a joy. It's been hard times, it's been good times. It's very humbling to me that the Clinton area District 2 people have kept me here 20 years. And I've enjoyed it, and I actually tried to keep, as Rick pointed out, his dad and my dad, I tried to keep my dad's philosophy. It's simply this: I'm not a politician. I try to serve the people of Anderson County. Thank you. This is the actual boss.
Congratulations, Commissioner. Job well done. Next, we have Commissioner Yeager. Are you over there? Okay, he's over hiding. We'll do the resolution for Commissioner Emmert.
Well, I've known Steve about as long as Rick's known Mark here, about 2 years. Good friend, been a big influence on me here. And let me read Resolution 18-08708, resolution honoring Commissioner Steve Emmert. Whereas, unfortunately, our dear friend Steve Emmert will be retiring from the Board of Commissioners and public service on August 31st, leaving a legacy as one of the most respected members to ever serve on the Anderson County Board of Commissioners. And whereas Steve began serving as a county commissioner representing District 3 in 2012 after being chosen to fill the unexpired term of the late Merle Albright. Whereas Steve quickly began to impress his peers with his sound reasoning and gentlemanlike attitude on many important issues facing Anderson County, he was soon elected chairman by his fellow commission members and served 2 terms directing the efforts of the Board of Commissioners. And whereas Steve, during his tenure, he helped lead Anderson County through many landmark projects, including but not limited to transition to the 1981 Fiscal Management Act, relocation of the North Anderson County Convenience Center, completion of the final stages of Blockhouse Valley Nature Preserve, renovation of the Daniel Arthur Building, and relocation of the General Sessions Court 2 and the new Senior Center. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session this 20th day of August 2018 that we have all been honored to serve with Commissioner Emmert and applaud his many accomplishments as member of the Board of Commissioners. His calm demeanor and professional judgment has been a blessing to us all. We wish Steve and his family well on their future endeavors and thank you for a job well done. Duly passed and approved, 20th day of August 2018. Tim Isbell, Terry Frank, Jeff Cole.
Okay. I want to thank my wife Heather first before I thank you all. Second of all, my son and thank you.
Next, Commissioner Wandale will do me the honors.
Well, I don't know how I got this honor, but I'm glad I did. Mr. Chairman, what an honor it is. We have lots of experience leaving us board tonight that will be missed. And I'm appreciative to each and every member of this commission. Even when we disagreed or agreed, all 3 of these men have been a voice of reason at all times. So I appreciate that. I've had the pleasure of knowing Mr. Warfield for some time, mostly on commission. Met his dad before he got on commission. I knew that once he arrived at commission, if he had any of his dad in him, he'd be a great commissioner. On a personal note, I'd like to thank you, Commissioner Warfield, for your honesty and integrity, your professionalism, and all the things you've done for the youth of this county going forward. Also, for the excellent service you've done in the Conservation Board. That is not forgotten. I thought I did a pretty decent job when I was there, but you took it to a whole new level, and I thank you for that. So without any further ado, fellow commissioners, I'd like to read this resolution number 18-08-707. Resolution honoring Commissioner Phil Warfield, whereas Philip Leroy Warfield has devoted his entire professional life to making Anderson County a better place to live and work for all citizens. And whereas the Anderson County Board of Commissioners was honored to have Commissioner Warfield serve with this distinction since 2014 and witness firsthand his passionate efforts representing the citizens of District 3. And whereas Commissioner Warfield has taught the young adults of our community for over 32 years as an agriculture science instructor at Anderson County High School. He received his formal education from the University of Tennessee, where he earned his bachelor's and master's degree in agricultural science. And whereas Commissioner Warfield has been committed to conservation issues for many years and presently serves as the chairman of the Conservation Board overseeing Anderson County Parks, during his tenure, he was instrumental in the final stages of the Blockhouse Valley Nature Preserve remediation program, and as a result of his efforts, the park will soon be returned to our citizens for their use and enjoyment. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting the regular session this 20th day of August 2018, that we have been honored to have Commissioner Warfield as one of our members and applaud the tireless efforts and commitment he demonstrated to the citizens of District 3 and the entire county. His service will be deeply missed, but never forgotten. Duly passed and approved this 20th day, August 2018. Chairman Isbell, Mayor Frank, County Clerk Jeff Cole. I know you'd like to have your bride and family.
I'll try to get through this as best as I possibly can. First off, it would be, I'd get in trouble if I didn't thank my wife. I guess this was last Wednesday. She asked me if I was going to run again, and I said no. She said, pardon me. But that's probably good. She would like to go out and do more fun things with me. Then she's didn't have that opportunity for the last four years. So it's been good. As far as this set of commissioners, my dad will be 89 on December the 8th. He has seen many different sets of county commissioners. For my dad to actually say this, I think after about the second year, he said, Phil, you know that the current set of commissioners gets along better together and works more closely than any set that he's seen. Excuse me. For those of you that know my dad, sorry, that's actually saying a whole lot. It's been a privilege, it's been an honor to have you guys as my friends. Thank you. get my computer awake again. Sorry, guys. Who's doing the proclamation for Mark Lucas? Catherine? Okay, please, ma'am.
Okay, Mark, come on up here. See if we can do a good job here. It is my honor to read this proclamation to somebody who's become a very good friend. Anderson County Board of Commissioners, Resolution 1808704. Resolution honoring Anderson County Chief Deputy Mark Lucas. Whereas Chief Lucas started his law enforcement career over 40 years ago, although he doesn't look it, and has devoted his entire professional life to serving the citizens of Anderson County. And whereas, excuse me, of his many accolades and awards during the course of his prestigious career, none is more impressive than his selection to serve in the chief deputy capacity for 3 different sheriffs. And whereas among his lengthy list of professional training programs, Mark graduated from the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy with honors and the FBI National Law Enforcement Management Program. And whereas Mark has been the consummate professional, demonstrating impeccable ethical standards and a continued lifelong commitment to reducing crime and making Anderson County a better place to live and work. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session this 20th day of August 2018, that we honor the dedicated service of Chief Deputy Mark Lucas and his 40-year career serving the citizens of our great county, his tireless work ethic and relentless commitment to making our county a safer for all and will never be forgotten. Be it further resolved that we declare Friday, August 24th, 2018, as Chief Deputy Mark Lucas Day in Anderson County to further honor his distinguished service to Anderson County. Duly passed and approved this 20th day of August 2018, signed Tim Isabel, Chairman, Terry Frank, Mayor, and Jeff Cole, County Clerk. Congratulations, Mark.
Next, we have Commissioner Meade. Boy, you still got a badge. I'm in trouble when I leave.
Till next
I
Friday.
apologize.
I want to thank Commission for this great honor. I appreciate this very much, and thank you, Catherine, for being the person to present it. It's been a privilege for the last 24 years working with the Commission. The legacy is, if you look back and see what has been accomplished by working together to better the Anderson County Sheriff's Department and Anderson County and the citizens that live here. That's the legacy that we have working together. And this will be my last commission meeting as Chief Deputy, and I want to thank you all so much for this. Thank you.
Next, Commissioner Meade will present to Sheriff Paul White.
Front and center, Sheriff. Now, I've only known the sheriff since he first came into office when he was running and we met. And so I haven't been invited to stay at his place out there. And so we've talked a lot of times, and I've had his phone and my phone number in my cell phone for a long time, occasionally to give him a call when it was appropriate. But we're congratulating him tonight for not only the honorable and loyal service to the county, but also having much been accomplished during that time. And as such, I'm going to read this resolution. Anderson County Board of Commissioners, Resolution 1808-705. Resolution honoring Anderson County Sheriff Paul White. Whereas, since 1802, Anderson County has been honored to have many successful sheriffs serve our county. However, none has been more prolific in their abilities to reduce crime than Sheriff Paul White. Whereas, August 31st, 2018 marks the retirement and final watch for Sheriff Paul White, ending 42 years law enforcement career and a legacy of one of the most effective sheriffs in the history of the state of Tennessee. And whereas when Sheriff White took office in 2006, Anderson County was suffering through a methamphetamine epidemic that had ravaged our county for more than a decade and scarred many families across our great county. Anderson County was infamously known as the meth capital of the South when he came into office. Crime was at an all-time high, causing the county detention facility to be dangerously overcrowded. And whereas today, clandestine meth production in Anderson County has been virtually eliminated, and crime rates have decreased dramatically due to the efforts of Sheriff White and the entire sheriff office. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners, meeting in regular session on this 20th day of August, 2018, that we congratulate Sheriff Paul White on his retirement and express our deepest gratitude for his tremendous efforts and accomplishments. He has truly gone beyond the call of duty in making Anderson County a safer place for all citizens to live and work. Be it further resolved that we declare Friday, August 31st, 2018 as Sheriff Paul White Day in honor of his distinguished career and service to the citizens of Anderson County. Duly passed and approved this 20th day of August 2018, signed Chair Tim Isbell, Mayor Terry Frank, and attested by County Clerk Jeff Cole. Thank you so much, Chair.
Well, I'd like to say one thing. Thank you all for everything you've done. I appreciate the support I got from the county voters. I appreciate the chance they gave me to be your sheriff for 12 years. When I first took this office over, this county was blistered with meth. Ain't no two doubts about it. We were totally blistered. We were doing 3 to 5 meth labs a day sometimes. So I come before this commission, and without the help of y'all, we would still be like that. But I come before the commission, I ask for 8 employees, y'all. You know, you sit here and you read the body language as I'm talking, and the thing I'm looking at is, you know, when I say I need 8 employees, I get the reaction, oh, and I won't say no more than that. But I'm sitting here thinking, how am I gonna do this? We've got to have it. But anyway, some way or another, I got through. Y'all gave it to me. Without that, we would have seriously been in trouble. I mean, when I took this off sober, we didn't have enough people even answer calls because of the meth stuff. When we were tied up on a meth lab, I think it was required either 4 or 5 deputies be on the scene of each meth lab while we're cleaning up. So when you got 3 or 4 of them going on a day, I mean, there's nothing you can do. You got no call. You ain't got no cars to do any calls or anything else hardly. But y'all graciously gave it to me. You know, I don't deserve all the credit for it. If y'all had not have gave me the help that I needed, we'd still be where we was at and probably worser. As I got into it, even after you gave me the help, I remember Jerry White asking me, said, are you gonna clean this meth up if we give you these employees? And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm still in a little bit of doubt at that time, for I didn't know. And I think I told Jerry at that time, I said, you know, I don't know, but we will be able to knock it down a lot, and hopefully we'll be able to knock it plumb out. And I get to help, and we go out there and we get started, and I figure out, you know, this is working a little, but it's not doing the job. So I get together with the federal people, and I beat my head together with them. We beat our brains out together, and we finally come up with a program, and it worked. We started loading up the cooks, putting the manufacturers in jail. And I mean, when we started doing that, we seen an immediate trend going down. So we put about 3 batches of that type of people in jail. And I mean, it really went down at that point. And each time we would do another movement, you would see it go down that much more. Because of the meth and because of all the problems that meth brings, we were terribly overcrowded at the jail. We were under state mandate, I think, just real shortly after I took over the jail. And we were fixing to be under federal mandate. This commission moved. You made the moves that we needed. And I mean, it was surprising how smoothly it went after we got everything in motion. It went. And like I say, I do not deserve all the credit of that. This commission did as much as I did on this. Without your help, I would have never been able to curb it and do it. But I'd like to say I appreciate it. You know, I've spent my entire life here pretty much, and while I've been here as sheriff, you all have just done an outstanding job backing me, and without your support, I would have never been able to accomplish what I did, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Next, we have Commissioner Smallridge to present to Myron Owanski.
I'm honored to help present this resolution to Myron on behalf of everything he's done for the county. He's a big reason why I'm serving on the commission today, and I continue to value his advice. The only thing is, I think he fudged a little bit when he told me how much time and how many meetings were involved, but you know, I'll let that go. But this is Anderson County Board of Commissioners resolution honoring Myron Owanski. I better put my glasses on because did I bring them? No.
And he wants to see, too.
Yeah. Okay. Resolution honoring Myron Owanski. Whereas August 31st, 2018 marks the retirement of one of Anderson County's most beloved statesmen, Myron Owanski, and whereas Myron has devoted his entire professional career to serving the citizens of our county and our great nation, first as an admired employee of the Tennessee Valley Authority, and since 1994, an admired and respected leader in Anderson County government. And whereas Myron began his service with Anderson County as a county commissioner in 1994 and quickly rose as a proven leader and a voice of reason among commissioners, and whereas his impeccable reputation for solving the county's most difficult issues became his trademark and legacy, and whereas many times during the course of his career, he was chosen by his peers on the Anderson County Commission to serve in important pivotal roles and on the county's most important committees, Myron has served as chair for the Board of Commissioners, Finance, Audit, Budget, Legal Services Committees, and the EMS Audit Committee, and served with distinction on numerous other county government committees. And whereas over the years, Myron became the go-to guy when the difficult issues and vacancies arose, he was chosen by his peers as the interim county mayor in 2011 and trustee in 2017. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session this 20th day of August 2018, that we salute the career of Myron Iwanski and thank him for his dedicated service to our great county. Myron will always be missed in the Anderson County Courthouse, but his legacy will live on and he will never be forgotten. Be it further resolved that we declare September 1st, 2018 as Myron Iwanski Day in Anderson County for his dedicated service and continued role in making Anderson County a better place to live and work. Duly passed and approved this 20th day of August 2018, signed by Tim Isabel, Chair, Anderson County Commission, Mayor Terry Frank, and Jeff Cole, County Clerk.
Well, thank you. I got to say, the last 24 years have been a very rewarding experience in a lot of different ways. I think we've, over those years working together, have made Anderson County a better place as a result of all those efforts. And I was glad that I could play a small part in some of those efforts. So I appreciate that opportunity and your vote of confidence along the way in some of the things I've been able to do. But I think more important than some of the accomplishments in my last 24 years as far as being rewarding, it's the relationships. It's you guys on County Commission, your predecessors on County Commission, the various elected officials and department heads we've worked with over the years and continue to work with, and our employees. We have very dedicated employees that don't get a lot of recognition, don't get a lot of pay, but I think we couldn't have accomplished a lot of what we did over that period of time without their support and their hard work. And the other part of all this is our citizens. I think the rewarding part of this experience has been, like I say, not just the projects and things we did, but getting to meet people across this county over that period of time. And the kinds of diverse projects we all get involved in, I would have never thought I would have had that kind of opportunity. So getting to meet people, a lot of good people all across this county, working with them. You know, we don't always satisfy everybody's needs or make everybody happy, but I think those experiences and those relationships with you and all these other folks in the county government as well as with our public have been a very rewarding experience. So I want to thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
At this time, we'll take a 15-minute break. We'll start back at 5 minutes after 7. There's cake and punch up here if y'all like to have some. None for Teresa Scott? That's only because she's so sweet right now that she doesn't need to be any sweeter. That was pretty quick. Okay, we'll take a break till 7:05. Thank you all.
They're smart enough to have a name on it. So they don't get confused.
Let's call this Anderson County Board of Commissioners together, Monday, August 20th, 2018. Let's go to the board and register your attendance. And it's already been done. Okay. Next, we have the prayer by Commissioner Warfield and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Alderson.
Let us pray. Most kindly, gracious Heavenly Father, we come before Thee today that we ask for Your forgiveness in all their sins that we've committed. Dear Heavenly Father, be with this board in the coming years and let them work together and be for the betterment of Anderson County citizens. Dear Heavenly Father, please be with our servicemen that are in harm's way. Please be with the families that have lost the servicemen and let them see that the sacrifice that they have made is for the citizens of the United States. Dear Heavenly Father, as we go forward in this meeting, let us judge, let us vote for what is the best in Your eyes. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good prayer.
Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have appearance of citizens. If someone wants to come before the board and speak for anything that's not on the agenda. Name and address, please, Mr. Varner.
Oh, well, you already know who I am. My name is Nathaniel Varner, and I live at 104 Haven Hill Lane. That is Commissioner Yeager and Commissioner Smallridge's district. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm here to talk about the EMS situation. So I've read through the entirety of the audit done by Fitch & Associates. And I would like to cite a few passages that gave me a little pause. So in the question and answer, it says, any feedback regarding the direction and effectiveness of Mr. Sweet and leadership? In the response, they say, Director Sweet has, in our estimation, been placed in an impossible situation, expected to maintain a busy service without adequate funding, capital replacement, aged equipment, low staff salaries, etc. Leadership has been required to make many no-win decisions, which are attributed to the director individually when in fact those decisions are controlled by others. And the next I would like to cite is, the question is related to funding. It's sort of long, I don't want to waste my time, but the answer was, the revenue and spending issues are thoroughly discussed in the report. The EMS department has been placed in a very difficult position given the County Commission's historical insistence on a pay-for-yourself approach to this important public safety function. The Commission has been unwilling to fund even the minimum policy requirements that it has established, maximum vehicle age and mileage, leading to a widespread belief that a strategic plan will not be a meaningful document. We hope that using the results of this study, the County Commission will propose a reasonable EMS plan and will commit to providing the necessary funds to capitalize and operate the system and serve the community. Now, I understand the Commission likes to make sure that every single penny in the budget is spent properly, and I agree with that sentiment fully. But in my estimation, it concerns me to see the Commission being very focused on a flat budget, when what concerns me when I read this report is the average of 19-minute response time to medical emergencies. It is to EMS employees who are overworked and underpaid. It is to ambulance stations that are not located in geographically beneficial areas. So I, as a citizen, would implore this commission, when you're moving forward with trying to think of how to fund EMS in the future, don't start taking out loans to pay for recurring expenses, because that's just not good budgeting. It's not. So the EMS is not a business. It's not supposed to make money. It never will make money. It provides an essential service so that everyone in this county can sit at home and know they're a phone call away from having an ambulance come to their house, being able to take care of them, and they're not going to have to worry. So please keep that in mind, that I've often heard it said from this commission that they want to run government sort of like a business. Well, let me tell you this. I want to see some results. And I think a lot of people I have asked agree that they would be willing to, they want to see those results as well. And sometimes hard choices have to be made to see those results come to fruition. But I think the results will be well worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Creasy, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I have lots of comments, but no,
Oh, it's just-
I wasn't requested.
Okay, all right. Anyone else?
Gentleman back here.
Oh, did I must have hit the button accidentally? No, I don't want to comment. I got something to say.
Oh, yeah, come on up. Just state your name and address, please.
My name is David Giles, and I live at 396 Mahoney Road in Oliver Springs. And I have a suggestion I'd just like to make to the commission, and maybe get something changed. The way right now that an owner of a piece of property is notified about a variance change or a zoning change is by, I understand, the Clinton Courier. And the other night at the BZA meeting, I asked, there was approximately 50 people there, and I asked how many people in there took the Clinton Courier. There was 7. Jury was one of them, and there was one other person on the board, and then 5 out of the audience. That's a very backward way, I think, of notifying people about a variance change. In our situation, the variance, it was a zoning situation, and it got slipped through as a variance. And I would like to make a suggestion that the adjacent property owners to this particular property, and then the next adjacent, so that would be 2 property owners down, that the county would send them a letter notifying them that there either going to be a variance meeting or a zoning meeting taking place. I got a petition together. At my place, there are 55 people signed my petition against what's happened in their area. And it's bad. It's been a community changed situation. But they've not been one person that I talked to that took the Clinton Courier. Every one of them had asked me, how did this happen without us knowing about it? Where's the signs at? Well, I thought maybe that they supposed to see signs too, but the zoning office said, no, that's not required. We just had to put it in the paper. But, that anymore. I quit taking papers probably 25 years ago. That's just not the way I get my news. And I think most people are that way. And I in my area, I've not had one person to say they took it, but our area is zoned A2, residential single family, and we've got a big business taking place. The business signs up. He's got all kinds of advertisements. Had 110 Jeeps down there recently, and everything. And it slipped through because nobody in the neighborhood knew about it. Not one person. And I've got signature. In fact, I've got my petition right here with 55 signatures and addresses. And but I think I think we're doing people wrong by not notifying them personally when something like this life-changing happens. And this is I've talked to all our officials. I've yet to get any help from anyone. And I've talked to all our officials. I've wrote letters and everything. The only person that has helped me has been our law director, and he did. He did shut the guy down for about 2 weeks, or he turned his stuff down, but he's right back at it again. But anyway, would you all consider, other than the Clinton Courier, all it takes is an envelope and a stamp and somebody to slide a card or something in an envelope to notify people that, hey, this is fixing to take place. There's not a person sitting here would like what is happening in my neighborhood. I'll grant you. You wouldn't like it. The property values, he's changing property values. 2 houses this week went up for sale. They told me if it don't change, I'm moving out. We've had 2 listed this week. But it all started by the zoning doing something that nobody was notified of. Well, it was in the Clinton Courier. You don't get a Clinton Courier? I'm 75 years old, and I've not had one copy of it. And maybe somebody's trying to finance the Clinton Courier. I don't know. But I think the people ought to be notified personally if you're going to make a variance or if you're going to rezone an area. I think people need to be notified and told about it. That's the reason we didn't show up. The guy walked in here, BZA meeting. Nobody confronted him with it. Nobody knew about it. And but anyway, I'm just asking y'all to consider doing something different than the way things have been done. And citizens need to know about it. I pay as much tax as that guy does. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Commissioner Emery, hold on a second. I think
Mr. Giles, if you hang around Smith, could we put this under new business and give a little further discussion? Because I think it's a great idea. So I think I make a motion that we put it under new business.
Jay.
Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, we've already got something. I'm working with Commissioner White on this issue to address their concerns, and we're in the process of that right now. I've heard his comments. I'm concerned about him. I'm concerned there was no sign put on the property to alert the neighborhood, but we're going to work through it. We're going to have a meeting at the BZA about this issue next month. If anybody's interested, you're welcome to attend, and we'll take up the full issue at that time. But thank you, sir, for your
Even
comment.
about the notifications?
Yes, sir. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
You withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
Pardon me for calling you back. My question, I think the law director just answered it, but my question was, I know that our zoning and our building inspector is supposed to install a sign on the property that's been affected by either a variance or zoning change. And was that property posted?
No, sir.
Okay, and I think he answered that too.
No, sir.
Okay.
Of the 55 people that lived within a third of a mile radius of this 468, nobody saw any type of sign. I even asked the zoning if they did, and they said, no, we're not required to.
You know, it's my understanding that we do two things. One is put it in the paper and then go out and physically put up a sign so many days or so many weeks notifying the public that there's going to be a change to that property.
I was told that that's rezoning only, not a variance. A variance can be slipped through. These people are realtors. They know what they're doing. If they had come to the county commission or the zoning office and asked for a rezoning, they wouldn't have got it. But they knew if they slipped this through as a variance, they could get it. They're smart people. I mean, you know, they're not dumb, but they're affecting everybody in our area. If I had someone at my place and I was trying to sell that place and they heard what was going on and asked, for instance, the 110 Jeeps next door, who would want 110 Jeeps next door? And I've got pictures to prove it, you know, and it's on their website. But if they rolled in and your prospective customer said, hey, what's going on? Well, they have that every 2 weeks or every week, you know. Would you buy it? I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy my place if they did that. But, you know, I'm just asking y'all to consider this because we're in a predicament and we're in a fight. And, you know, I don't know where it's headed, but we're fighting for a community and we've lost it up to this point.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Rosenbaum.
It's nice to be recognized. I recognize all you. My name's Larry Rosenbaum. I live at 103 Watson Circle, Clinton, Tennessee. I've been asked by some people to bring it to the attention. I know you all are well aware that people at home that don't come up here to this 312 room try to watch commission meeting on TV, and they don't hear it. As you notice, I'm pretty close to this microphone because it is a personal mic. If I step back to the back of the room and try to speak, you're not going to hear anything. So, gentlemen and ladies, I've been asked to come and ask you all to use your hand and pull your microphone closer to your mouth. Use your correct posture and sit up straight and speak into the microphone. A lot of people, hey, my wife got upset. I went and spent $150 on a sound bar. She loves it when commission goes off and I change the channel and the neighbors 5 miles down the road hear my TV. But my sound bar didn't help me hear you all. If you don't use the microphone, people's not going to hear you. Now, you can lay it on technology. You can lay it on anything you want to. But it boils down, it's a personal mic. It's not an audible mic that's supposed to pick up all around the room. I don't want to have to go, as this gentleman said, they've been talk about trying to get a petition to bring to county commission, for county commission to let the public hear them when they speak. Maybe you don't want them to hear you. That's what they think anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenbaum. That was actually in one of my notes to remind everybody to try to speak into their mic, because we had a constituent there in District 4, but she left. But that was one of the things she wanted to talk about. So let's even our fellow commissioners, if you see somebody not talking into the mic, just go ahead and move it over. Next, we have anyone else? Next, we have the approval and correction of agendas. First is the consent agenda.
Before we get started, unless I'm overlooking someone, I would like to recognize that we do have one commissioner-elect in the audience. Commissioner-elect Jameson. Jameson? Who's the other one? Oh, Josh Anderson. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see you sitting there. So I just wanted to know that we do have two new commissioner-elects in our audience.
Bob Jameson and Josh Anderson. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your service and your integrity to run. Thank you. Consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor, say aye. Aye. I'm sorry, Commissioner Wandell.
It's the next item.
Okay. Regular agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I request to, if I could, move the Operations Committee report up in the agenda. We have some folks from the Brushy Valley area that would like to hear some of the discussion in the Operations Committee report, and I'd like to move that up. It's your direction, wherever you'd like to have it, sir.
Okay. We want to do that under, we're going to move finance up too as well, but we'll move operations right under the purchasing report.
Thank you, sir.
Is that suitable?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Meade.
Motion.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me explain
To amend
something.
the agenda.
You have to have the floor to make a motion by Robert's Rules of Order. Can't just push the
Yeah,
motion.
that's why I hit the button for a motion that
Okay.
said you would look at.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. We're going to get trained up on this thing. And I am using my microphone. I don't think usually you can hear me, I think. But anyhow, in the past, we've always had purchasing and finance during this meeting, one right after the other, okay? And some meetings ago, we changed it for, just as a courtesy, we moved purchasing to be earlier in the meeting. This time it's item 5. And I'd like to make a motion that we tonight make the finance director's report, that it ties right in with the purchasing, to be immediately following that, or be item 5A on tonight's agenda, and in the future, that it be done that way.
Second.
Okay, that
I
makes...
already did. I hit the button.
Okay. All right.
Ready to move on.
Motion is second. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so how that's going to work is after purchasing be financed in operations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other changes or amendments?
Yes, sir. Just one, I need to add that Charter Commission resolution that you have before you. It should be on your email. There should be a couple of handouts also. If
That's
you can
under
put
your
that
report?
Under new business.
Under new business.
And we'll need to amend the rules, County Commission rules, subject to Commissioner Meade's recommendation. So that needs to be referred to the Rules Committee. We can handle it tonight, it's subject to his motion, but in the future, if you remember, our actual agenda item format is in the rules. So that needs to be amended next time we have a Rules Committee meeting.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Okay. So first is purchasing report.
Good evening. First, under Section A, contracts approved by the law director. Before deciding whether or not to approve the contracts as a group or individually, I'd like to provide an update. Contract listed as number 3 with eGov for the trustee's office. It's being changed to a 1-year contract. So with that update, would you all like to approve as a group or individually?
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve as a group. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, Catherine, I'm just looking here. This is Section A, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You answered my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion to approve as a group? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next, under Section B, contract still pending law director approval. We just have one contract submitting for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Under Section C, other business, if you would, if it pleases commission, I'd like to take these items individually with board vote. Sir, okay.
Okay.
So the first item is just to request surplus property as requested by departments.
Have a motion second, so she wants a board vote, so we go to the board and vote on this.
That wasn't.
Ken and learning. The motion is to request to surplus personal property? Is that just any and all property?
Yes, that was the longer list of property.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Any discussion on that? Okay.
The next item under other business is the purchasing committee is recommending to county commission to declare 205 Main Street as surplus property. What is the will of the commission?
Motion to approve.
Have motion second discussion.
Can we get a board vote on that
We
one?
will.
too? Yes.
Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, this doesn't obligate us to sell it, but it does make, it puts us where we could take a bid and decide what we want to do, and we can refuse any bids. So I just wanted to make sure people understood that.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Creasy, or
Yeah, Mr. Meade, I'm not sure I understood you correctly. And if I did understand you correctly, it may be in conflict with the motion that Commissioner McCamey made at the last meeting. Did you say that will allow us to go out on bid? Because I remember he recalled his motion and he changed it to sending it to purchasing only.
yeah, that's what we're taking up. That's what was voted on in purchasing.
Yeah, it was voted on in purchasing, okay? And now purchasing is recommending it to the commission. I just want to clarify that doing this is really an administrative move. It doesn't obligate us to sell anything.
And it doesn't
Okay?
require us to
But we
take
can't
bid.
find out what, we can't even ask for interest in who might be interested in the building until it's been declared a surplus. We could, at the next meeting, we could take it off the surplus list and put it back if we want to.
And Chairman, and if I may, that's the way I understood it, was going to go to purchasing and they would declare it surplus. It'd come back to this meeting as a two-step, as Commissioner
correct.
McCamey said.
Yes.
And we would
Purchasing,
approve the surplus and they would not go out on bids until we requested them to go out on bid. And is everyone on page with me? Am I correct?
if
Yeah,
I may.
This is part of the process, from purchasing back to full commission, and then they'll come up with a way, they'll present a way of how that's going to be done.
We actually had 3 different motions about this subject. First is to declare the property surplus, and then next is whether or not to put it out for bid. And then the next is that purchasing committee did not recommend a minimum bid, and that purchasing committee, the next would be that they review the bid responses once they come back in order to bring a recommendation about the responses to full commission. So right now, this.
I'm not sure I understood everything she said there,
It's a
Chairman.
It's a 3-step process. I can tell you from being the chairman of purchasing, is first we had to actually declare it surplus, and then the bid process, and then the third one was not to put it out there and just say that what we gotta have is a minimum of X amount of dollars, is that we're gonna let people bid on it, and we can always turn that bid down, because I think Commissioner Scott may have been one that actually said, you know, if you put it out there at a minimum bid for X amount of dollars, that's what people's gonna bid. So this kind of,
Yeah, and my question is, does this motion allow purchasing to go out for bids?
this motion is for surplus.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
that
we're
was my
gonna vote on
question.
going
I
out for bids.
wanted that to be clear, and I wanted the public to know that that's what we're voting
I
on.
understand.
Okay, and I can vote for this.
Okay.
Okay.
So the motion is to be declared surplus. And we need to go to the board and vote.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Motion passes with 2 noes.
And now the next one is, upon that approval, Purchasing Committee recommends to County Commission that the property be put out for sealed bid. What is the will of the commission?
And not to recommend.
That's the next one.
Correct. Motion approved.
We have a motion to second. Discussion. Commissioner Meredith.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know why we would do a sealed bid. I guess was my first, because the next one is asking for a minimum.
Or whether to establish a minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, should be the other way around, based on Commissioner Creasy's concern. Determine the minimum, then we can determine whether we're going to do a bid or a sealed bid. I mean, because
Purchasing Committee did not recommend a minimum bid amount.
Oh,
And
they
neither
did not?
did Jay, I believe, in our conversation.
okay, I'm just reading this. It doesn't say any of that. So I guess let's have a point of clarification from you as chairman of purchasing. What are you asking us to do in these these next two?
This was for them to be able to put it out as a sealed bid. In other
Okay.
words,
With no minimum?
without a minimum.
Without a minimum?
And we can turn down any bid.
Sure, understand that.
And then I think that in this is it allowed the highest bidder to be able, for the law director to negotiate. Is that correct?
Yes, the purchasing agent is allowed to negotiate.
Go ahead, Commissioner Meredith.
So, another point, have we exhausted all options within all the departments and all of county government, whether that facility can be used now that we have surplused it?
I can't tell you that if you're asking me that question.
I'm asking whoever.
The one thing that I think there could be some confusion here, and Commissioner Creasy has hit on it. What she's asking is for basically some marching orders of how to proceed. As we talked at our last meeting, at some point, I've got a meeting. First of all, I've got a meeting with Catherine to discuss this very issue this week. And we're going to work out some of the details of it. If possible, I'd like to wait till next month to actually put a motion before you to sell that senior center. Let us work out the logistics of it with these 3 motions. So please don't interpret the second motion for the sealed bid as the go-ahead. Okay, what she's actually asking you for is that's the method she's going to employ when she does put it out. I think the best thing for us to do is I need to meet with Catherine. We've got that meeting this week. We need to hear at operations where we're standing on this, and at the earliest next month, actually pull the trigger if you so desire. So to sell the event center at 205 Main Street. So this second item that she's got, as far as the sealed bid, that's just the process that we'll utilize. That's not the go-ahead. And I want everybody to understand that. We're not, in a sense, pulling the trigger to put this out to bid tonight. I think at the earliest it'd be next month. But anyway, is that the way you see it, Catherine, is we're going to iron out the logistics?
Well, I saw it as Purchasing Committee recommended putting it out for bid, so.
Right now?
That's what this really says.
Okay.
That's what it looks like to me.
Mr. Chairman, this says amend, but I don't know that we're actually amended, but I'd like to push this motion button and make a motion. We defer the last 2 items, item 2 and 3, for 30 days.
Second. Have most second to defer, no discussion on the motion to defer. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Okay, so the only motion that passed is we did declare it surplus.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, the only other items on the agenda were just updates, an update about EMS bids. Well, actually, and the other was not an update, so unless there's anything else, I don't have anything.
Hold on a second. Commissioner Creasy, you still want to speak?
No, that's what I was going to do. I was going to either refer it or table it we had asked for an appraisal on that property. We also I asked for an appraisal. Dr. Smallridge asked for an estimate of what it costs for us to rebuild that building where it can be used for a senior center, what it's going to cost us. We need those kind of answers before we proceed these steps, even next month. If we don't have the appraisal next month, or don't have it soon, and this has been going on for some time, we need that appraisal to know what we got. We need to know how much it's going to cost to refurbish that building where the seniors can use it. And I just don't see us discussing anything about anything else until we get that information. And now that's the way I feel about it, and that's the way I'm going to have to vote. I have to know what it's going to cost us to keep it and what it's going to cost us to sell it. If it's not going to cost much to make it a senior center, then we don't need to sell it. And that was the motion that Robert made, was strictly to surplus it at last month's meeting. And that's where we are now. And that's where I'd like to see it until we get those appraisals and those estimates.
Commissioner Meade, did you want to speak?
Well, yeah, I kind of. The thing is, until we have the appraisal, which we still don't have, okay, and until we know if there's anybody interested in buying it, we don't have any decision to make. This last motion, which I asked to speak on, but it was voted on before I spoke, was nothing more than to find out whether it's an option. Where you could just find out if there are people out there actually interested in it, get some idea of what it's worth, and then we can go ahead and make the decision on whether or not we're gonna refurbish the place, tear down some of the outside buildings and use the center, or what we could do with it. But right now, we don't know if it's even an option, if selling is even an option, because we don't know if there's an interest, we don't know what it's worth. So I agree, we really can't go ahead, but if we knew what it was worth, when we get that appraisal and we get a better estimate of what it would take to put it in the right condition, then this commission can make a knowledgeable decision.
Thank you for your agreement.
One thing I want to add, because what we're centering this on is for the senior center. Today, Mayor Burton actually called in on Ask Your Neighbor to let everybody know that the Armory, that the city would be offering that as a senior center to the county in 12 months for like $1 a year. So that's something to go forward with. Catherine, are you done?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Next, finance.
Good evening. I'd like to pick up where I left off last month. And it's official, the groundbreaking for the first inclusive playground in Anderson County to be located at South Clinton Park is next Wednesday, August 29th at 11 a.m. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally will be speaking at the event. And I'd like to invite you and anyone watching at home to join us. And again, thank you for supporting this initiative.
What was the date?
Next Wednesday, the 29th.
29th.
At 11. South Clinton Park.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your materials, or I'm sorry, I passed out tonight the cash and fund balance report. We're still open in closing last fiscal year, so these results are unaudited. You'll see that I've modified this report to be more consistent, detailing information by fund. As you go across the first several columns, it details the level of restriction on the fund balances. And then the final column is cash. So in moving through into July and crossing fiscal years, most fund balances have increased. And I would draw your attention to the General Fund 101 balance. So far this year, it appears we have a surplus of $2 million. And that was attributable to revenue increasing above where we originally budgeted, and also expenses being underspent compared to the appropriations approved. And I think a good amount of that variance comes from the different offices and departments not spending down all of the money that had been appropriated to them. And then moving on to cash, as I always speak of for the general fund, you will see cash is above $9 million as of July 31st. Compared to last fiscal year, it was $6.4 million. And the prior year, 2016, it was $6.9 million. So again, favorable indicators. The graphs that I normally present, I'm going to start reporting out on those on a quarterly basis. Okay. So with that, moving on to the budget amendments. Seeking Commission's approval of Group 2, appropriation, school, for board vote, please.
One moment, please. We're trying to locate it since we moved things up.
Okay.
It's at 282.
Thank you.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Let's go to the board. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving to Group 3, transfers, school. There are 3. Seeking Commission's approval as a group. Board vote, please.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Moving to Group 4, appropriations, non-school, submitting for your approval individually or as a group.
Move to approve as a group. Second.
Motion second to approve as a group. Any discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I was delayed in pushing my button. Group 4, item 15, the General Fund 101, Finance Fire Truck, $122,470. Is that the final payment on that?
So last year, we initiated a PO to purchase the Medford fire truck. It was using appropriated funds from last fiscal year and for this fiscal year. So in crossing fiscal years, I need to put that appropriation back on that expense line item so I can write the check for that purchase order that was in last fiscal year.
Thank you for your explanation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? Go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Moving to Group 5, transfers, non-school. These affect payroll and major line items, submitting for your approval individually or as a group.
Commissioner Wandale? you
Motion to approve as a group?
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Okay, and in introducing Group 6, the Budget Committee had discussed the possibility of talking about item number 20 for $18,500 and bringing it out separately. I just wanted to say that as a reminder. I don't know if we want to bring it out separately or not. So with that, submitting Group 6, appropriations, general fund, unassigned fund balance for Commission's approval individually or as a group.
Approval as a group.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back to item 20, the debris management plan. That was put out for bids, correct?
Yes.
I mean, I read the
Yes.
package. I'm just asking so everybody can hear it at home. And we received bid packages and we selected the group in front of us. And is this a state or federal mandate to have a debris plan in place?
I would need to defer to the mayor. I know it's an expectation of the county, but I don't know if it's a mandate from the federal or state. Catherine, do you know? State. To abide by federal guidelines.
And did we send any bids? I'm just curious, out to local, state, Tennessee state groups, or is it all out of state?
We post all our bids on vendor registry, and then I added a few addresses that Jeff Trabalka knew of consulting companies that provide these type of services.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Meade.
Having spent a number of years in emergency management, I just want to say any place that doesn't have a debris removal plan and they have tornadoes or really strong winds or something, if you've ever been in that situation where you got there and there was no plan, trust me, there is a good reason to have a plan, because it is a disaster when your roads can't be opened, the power's all down, and getting that debris out of the way has to happen before the help can get there. Anyhow, thanks.
Any other discussion? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
There are no action items under the miscellaneous group 7. I do have one new item. It came to me on Friday. I passed it out this evening. It's a budget amendment on behalf of IT to be able to buy equipment to complete the installation of the BCTI contract. And this contract went back as far as it was executed July of 2014. So it's to, thank you.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion? Go
As
to,
board vote, because it draws down unassigned fund balance.
let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Thank you. That's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Any questions?
Comment.
Mr. Creasy?
I want to thank her for the job she's doing, and Jerry White as our leader in the budget committee. I think we got to listen to both of them very carefully this year, and keep it. And if we do, they'll keep us out of trouble. Both of them got our concerns at heart, and they're working very hard for the citizens of this county. And I highly respect both of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Operations Committee met August 13th, 2018, all present. First item was holiday schedule. Upon motion made by Commissioner Isabel, seconded by Commissioner Meade, passed and forwarded changing the Veterans Day holiday, November 12th, 2018, to for commission approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, is upon a motion made by Commissioner Scott, seconded by Commissioner Meade, and passed to forward the 2019 Anderson County government holiday schedule to full commission for approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, we have some folks from the Brushy Valley community. I'm not sure if they have anyone that'd like to speak to the commission tonight. They did share some pictures. We discussed this item in operations of the Anderson County Water Authority. We had a spill at the Brooks Gap lift station. Out of that meeting, we come up with this motion. Upon motion made by Commissioner Emmert, seconded by Commissioner Meade, and passed to forward to full commission for approval of the law director writing a letter from commission in support of all citizens to the Anderson County Water Authority, and copy to Representatives Reagan, Representatives Powers, and Lieutenant Governor McMalley. Commissioner Emmert amended the motion to include the mayor, and on the letter, motion carried.
So moved.
Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. And I just want to say that I really respect and thank all of your constituents that came. You're very respectful, very knowledgeable. You were well prepared, and I just want to say thank you. That's what we look for.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Chairman. I agree as well. And the only thing I would disagree with is our constituents, all of us, and we represent everybody in the county. So I do appreciate the kind words, and I agree with you 100%. I did get an email, and many of us got an email tonight, that the law director has written a letter. It's in draft form and waiting to be approved. So the letter has been completed, and when we get a copy of that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be sure to share it with the full commission. Any questions from the constituents out there? Comments? Here's your chance if you'd like to make them before we move on to any other items. Please state your name and your address, sir.
Roger Robinson, 1315 Brushy Valley Road. Some many years ago, ACWA came about. We're not throwing stones, we're just asking, do we realize that when that became a public utility, the folks from our neck of the woods seem to have lost who was going to be in our court and take care of us, who was going to watch after our health and well-being. We come to you for that. So as we go forward with this process, and we're trying to go through the chain of command, those of us who have been in emergency management understand that there is a chain of command, and we will properly go through that. But we respectfully ask you to watch after our best interest. And we're afraid now that it's kind of gotten out of your grasp. So be with us, help us, guide us, be our mentors as we step forward and try to protect the folks in our community. With that, we will go tomorrow to speak with, we got a response from ACWA, doesn't answer the questions. There are things in that response that there is absolutely, there's going to be an event again. They indicated numerous times, along with TDEC, that there would be more spills, that it will happen again. But they, to our knowledge, they have a standing operating procedure in place, but they don't have an emergency response plan in place. So who is going to regulate that and help us to make sure that when it happens again, not if, but when, that we are taken care of? Thank you for your respect. Thank you for the job you do. It's a thankless job. We appreciate you for doing that, and we ask for your guidance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson.
Commissioner Creasy.
Oh, sorry.
I was just thanking. Okay. Commissioner Meade?
Yeah, in light of the fact that the letter we're asking the law director to write does not expend any funds, it doesn't obligate us to take any specific action, and all it really is going to do is put those people on notice that we're all watching. And I said in the meeting, in the operations committee meeting, that this is not the first time that a pumping station has malfunctioned. And there is a design problem. It's not really what it needs to be. And all we're asking them to do is take a look at how this has been fixed in the past. I'm willing to bet this is not the first time in the state of Tennessee that TDEC has seen a sewer pumping system not work. And so I know that they've seen this before. They know what the answer is. We just have to fess up with what the answer is, because it's probably putting other equipment in place. And so I would recommend that instead of waiting till next month to have the commission approve the letter, that we use our confidence in the, you don't think we should go ahead, Law Director?
I believe that I'm supposed to send that letter out immediately. Have this motion.
Okay, well, what was just stated was that we can move on this at the next meeting, and I didn't want that to happen.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think I said wait to the next meeting. What I said was there's a draft letter and waiting for final approval to send on to these folks that we mentioned.
No, but I think that's what I'm trying to correct. I think this should be the final approval.
It is. It is.
Based upon review by the chair.
It is.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to make.
Commissioner Meredith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Robinson, did you share that response with any of us, the commission? Did they respond, ACWA responded back to you or whomever?
Commissioner Meredith, I did not, but I'll be happy to forward it. I just received it myself over the weekend, but I'll be happy to forward it to the chairman and for commissioners' review.
One particular there are many areas of concern.
Sure.
One of the biggest areas of my concern was that we had potentially hazardous raw sewage flowing over a road and on adjacent property. They took care of it right around their facility, and they sprayed a chemical, which was Odoban, which all the research I've done so far, it is nothing more than a deodorizer.
Sure.
And so that's doing nothing, and there is no containment facility or mechanism for this in the future. And so there's a lot of things that we've got to work on, and that's
Right,
what I
for the
hope
next
this will be
time,
a start
if there is next.
to do.
Which, if you saw the pictures, I think one of them is in front of his driveway, which is raw sewage. I mean, it's just unacceptable, and if that response needs to be a part of this letter, responding to that response, I guess that's where I was going with that request. Also, are you copying all the board members on ACWA as well as the general manager?
The letter went to the board,
Okay.
and they responded. The board responded.
Okay, very
And that's
good.
what I'll forward to all the commissioners
Okay.
to review.
All right.
It came in, went Friday or Thursday, I can't remember what
All right.
date last week.
Thank you,
I'll
Mr.
certainly
Chairman.
get it to you. I was interested in getting the letter from the law director out first.
Commissioner Warfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I grew up in Brushy Valley. I'm through there quite a bit, down Buffalo Road and up by Rogers House. There is a big problem out there. It's my understanding from ACWA that originally, and this is what I think you guys need to look at further down the road, originally the pump stations were supposed to be 7. They cut that down to 3. Now, in pumping liquid in general, if you cut it down from 7 to 3, pressure's got to go somewheres. And just liquid education tells me that's wrong, especially when it comes to sewers. But I think this is a question, folks, that at the next county commission meeting, I think that a representative needs to be here, needs to answer some of these questions. And I don't know if this is true or not, but you know how when people talk, sometimes they kind of get off subject, but it was brought to my attention, and I think to your attention, that there may be Union County sewage coming through Anderson County, coming into that. If that's true, that's a very poor design to begin with. We're paying, if that's true. So I'm going to leave these questions with you guys. I'll email it to you, but I think it's something this commission needs to check into and see what's going on. And the biggest thing I'd want to ask, why did you drop it down to 3? It just makes no logical sense to me. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Alderson.
Yeah, due to the fact that we did receive a response and the letter isn't finalized, I'd like to amend the motion to include their response going out with our letter. That way the representatives will see what we may be working with.
Have a motion and second to amend. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passed. Commissioner Emory. They add you up. First is first. You was one.
Can you hear me, Larry?
3 years of teaching me that first is first.
I didn't touch anything.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Fritz, I'm sorry.
Right before the election, I went and attended to one of the AC meetings, and they talked about the problems with the odors and all that stuff they were having and improvements they made to it. And a lot of one of the discussions they were making was that at the marinas and things of that nature, that there was a lot of pumping that there's going to have to do. And there was even concerns that they may take trailers down there and pump into trailers and avoid sending it through the lines and everything like that. So I'm just concerned, why did, what happened since that time and this, if there was they knew there was going to be such a major upload and backload and this, that, and the other, how did this all come about? I mean, that's just a lot of questions like that I'm interested in, because that was the issues like that was talked about during that meeting with them. It was their monthly meeting that was, that they had, and then right after the election, this happened. I'm just curious, how this all came about, and Why did they didn't follow through, going through the trucks and hauling it off that way if they knew they was gonna have such a large load to come through?
Any other discussion?
Thank you, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Fritz, I would agree with you. There is a meeting tomorrow. I believe it's 5 o'clock at the Anderson County Water Authority. We certainly love to have you and any that would like to be there. And we'll get further feedback from there. And again, I'll forward to full commission the responses. I appreciate Commissioner Alderson's idea and amendment. That's a great idea to add. You know, I sit here and it's kind of ironic that we just passed a debris response bill, and we immediately can take care of things like that. And of course, we have the legal right to do so. But in our capacity as we sit here tonight, we don't have the right to take care of spilt sewage for our constituents. And that's, I think, to the point of Mr. Robinson and the constituents, that seems amiss at best. So we'll continue to work on it, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the Commission's full support that you're doing. So thank you. Next item, resolution to allow retiring deputies to keep service weapons. Upon motion made by Commissioner Alderson, seconded by Commissioner Scott, passed forward full commission resolution number 18-08-702, allowing sheriffs and deputies with 25 years of service to retain their service weapon upon retirement to full commission for approval. A resolution amended to include their badge.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Commissioner Meade?
No, I was just going to mention that it was just been amended to include the badge, then he's got it on there.
I almost left it out. You're
Thanks.
correct. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, Senior Center Workshop discussion. Upon motion made by Commissioner Scott, seconded by Commissioner Yeager, and passed to include a copy of the Office on Aging and Senior Center Annual Report dated July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2018 in the minutes. It has been done. Next was a motion, and before I read the motion, it relates to the EMS Plan Task Force. We all received an email if you've had a chance to look at it. We took a vote on this motion, and then we changed it because we thought, Mr. Chairman, that we didn't have enough to pass the motion, but after further review of the rules of the committee and Robert's rules, and also by the law director reviewing as well, that was not necessary, so the original motion should have passed. So that is the motion I am presenting tonight. Before I read the motion, I'd like to open it up for discussion to make sure all the other commissioners that were there at the operations who might have had questions before I read it as presented. Is that clear as mud?
Clear as mud.
Read the motion.
Yes, sir. EMS Plan Task Force. Upon motion made by Commissioner Meade, seconded by Commissioner McCamey, to forward this letter as presented to full commission with a recommendation for review and approval based upon verbal concurrence with the mayor to accept Plan 2B 911 and convalescent in a 2-division model, and number 3, to have variable response times. Motion passed by majority vote.
Commissioner Scott?
Thank you. I'd like you to read the recommendations that we received, if you would, to fill everyone in.
Okay. Let's see if I got it here. Yeah, it is. Hang on. So Commissioner Scott, what she's talking about, unfortunately, she asked to put all that senior stuff in there, so now I gotta go down to that page, which is about 125 pages down. Okay, here we go. Page 360 of our package, the letter that we're talking about in this motion is a letter we presented to the Operations Committee by Nathan Sweet. The title on it is Anderson County Emergency Medical Services. It was dated, addressed to the Operations Committee, dated August 9th, 2018. The EMS Plan Task Force had 2 meetings already, currently on a schedule to meet every other week. We are reviewing findings and recommendations from the 2018 EMS operational audit. During our discussions, there are 3 questions we're seeking guidance from the County Commission, and felt it best to start at this committee. Those questions are, number 1, is there agreement that the county should continue to provide EMS? And this is the recommendation from Nathan Sweet and the committee.
It is my recommendation that the Anderson County provide ambulance service. As presented by the auditors, we are not a desirable candidate for privatization. Somebody else could say that for me, I'd appreciate it. And it would cost the county more to do so. So the recommendation was to keep it as is. Number 2, which model does the county commission wish to pursue? A, current model conducting 9/11 and convalescent with all ambulances. B, conducting 9/11 and convalescent in 2 division models. And C, conducting 9/11 and not performing convalescent transport. And they chose B. Does County Commission want to have one standard response time for all response areas or variable response times? The recommendation from Nathan Sweet and the committee was to have variable response times. Any questions?
Mr. Meade.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that this was presented by Nathan Sweet, okay, directly to the commission. And at the Operations Committee meeting, the mayor was speaking, and I asked her specifically whether or not she was forwarding these recommendations to operations, that she concurred with these recommendations. Because really, I think it should have been a letter from the mayor forwarding this to commission. But in any case, the mayor stood up and said, yes, she agrees with these recommendations, so we can consider these recommendations as I put in my motion that was with concurrence of the county mayor, we move ahead. There's really not a lot of question about this. Do we want to have a county service or none? We do want to have a service, and I haven't talked to anybody that doesn't agree with that. This two-division model just means that we'll have some ambulances that are not as well, they're not the same level of equipment, not as big, that can be used for convalescent moves instead of always using a fully cardiac care, fully equipped ambulance for moving a person from hospital to home or from hospital to hospital. And then the variable response time, the fact of the matter is, no matter what you do, you're going to have variable response times. Some people are going to be closer to the ambulance where they're housed, where they're garaged, and some are going to be farther away. But for instance, in Oak Ridge, we have 2 places there that can deploy. In Oak Ridge, the service is very, very quick. If you live way up in the northern part of the county, and I've talked to people up there, and they say, look, we understand that we live, 30 miles away. They can't be here in 10 minutes. And so that's all the variable thing is. It just accepts the fact there are going to be some changes. But I expect that the task force will look at, do we need to move some of these places a little bit to give, with the same amount of resources, have better response time? And that is being looked at. And I see the mayor shaking her head. So that's what this is all about, and I think we need to move ahead. Thanks.
Commissioner Creasy.
Excuse me. Of course, we just passed the budget not long ago, and my question is, if we go with B under item 2, conducting 911 and convalescent care, but in 2 division models, is that going to increase or decrease our expenditures, and how's our budget going to work with EMS if we choose that model? Is it going to give us a surplus, or is it going to cost more to have a 2-division model? And that's what I think I need to know before I vote on this, if there's someone here that can answer that.
I think Nathan's out sick, so we'd probably have to send that back to a committee or to get Director Pry or the mayor can probably speak to that. Okay.
Commissioner Creasy, to answer your question, when we are looking at this, we're actually looking at developing the plan to bring back to you. So when you vote for this, it's not going to put this in play, but because we can choose different options in putting together a business model, this is the recommendation. And so we will come back to you with what all that will look like as far as the business plan. Nathan did submit to the committee the revenues that we make on convalescent care, and we did have on the EMS advisory committee that oversaw the audit, there was support expressed from those members that Anderson County maintain the convalescent business. And so we just wanted to bring that to the full commission to see, is that just a few people that are mentioning that on the EMS audit advisory team? Or is that, you know, would commission like us to stay in that business? If we have to come back with a business model, a fully developed business model for each and every scenario, it makes things a little more difficult. So we're asking for some direction. Does commission still want to do the ambulance service? Do you want to maintain the convalescent? And we're recommending the 2-division because we can save money. We still take care of it, but we don't use, as Commissioner Meade said, the fully deployed, fully equipped ambulance. And then the last recommendation there, if you accept variable, then we will come back to you with what you expect. We'll come back with some business plans. Here's what it'll take if you want this, you know, many minute response for this area. It's kind of a give and take where we can learn what you want from us in terms of performance standards as the commission, and then we can deliver that. So it's working together.
Absolutely, and you just worked with me on that because most of us already understood that now we're using fully equipped ambulances for convalescent care.
Yes, sir.
If we go to a lesser type van or a different type of ambulance for convalescent care, it won't be a fully equipped emergency vehicle, which will cost less.
Correct.
So we already figured it would be less, and there could be some savings to help in your budget. So you answered that, but I think all of us wanted to hear it come from you.
Sure.
And,
sure.
And thank you for answering that question.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Val?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I pushed the button before I realized Director Sweet was not here tonight. Mayor, you probably can't answer this question, but last month when we heard that a EMS plan task force was being formed, I asked the question who all was going to be on that task force. He named off a few people that I found out later may not actually be on that task force. And I understand soliciting feedback from your employees who are out in the trenches, because that's where you're going to get a lot of good operational advice. However, I think some of the questions that the mayor brought up, and they are valid questions, could have been answered by more community involvement on this EMS plan task force, people out in the community. I think Commissioner Meade also alluded to it, that, yeah, we understand we live in New River and response times may take a little longer, but here's what we're willing to do as taxpayers. Here's what we're not willing to do as taxpayers. So if Nathan were here tonight, Mayor, what I would suggest to him is add a few more members to this EMS plan task force. And I'm not necessarily talking about me. I'm talking about people who are affected by the decisions that we're going to be making here with our EMS responses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we can do that, Commissioner Val. We did reach out. We have a citizen member, and she's actually here tonight. But part of the discussion we've been having at the task force level is actually getting out into the community, and we've been laying that out as part of our plan to every step along the way to correspond to, and we've even talked about doing a survey both for the employees and then also the public, and then building that every step of the way where they can say, we put out to them what we're talking about right now, and then what do they like? And so we are building that into this process.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
And Nathan does apologize. He is under the weather tonight, and he said if you all did not want to vote on anything and you want him to answer the questions, he's fine going back to the committee, but he could not be here tonight. So.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, Mr. Chairman, if we are planning a community meeting in our district
August
30th at 6 o'clock p.m. at Clinch River Baptist Church.
Anchor Crow.
So we would certainly solicit any feedback from the area's community members. Thank you.
Commissioner Emmett. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Scott.
First is first.
First is first.
Thank you.
During the operations meeting, the mayor and Director Sweet came forward asking us for our recommendations. And I think I made it quite clear that I don't believe that it's up to us as a committee or a commission to decide how the EMS operates. The people of this county want an emergency medical service. When they call for an ambulance, they want it to show up. It's not up to us to say, well, you should put B. No, put a little of A and B in there. We're simply the ones that give out the money. While I was out knocking on doors and asking for votes, I had a lot of people in the city of Oak Ridge, in my district, in District 7, who are angry. They're upset with the fact that every time EMS steps forward to say, oh, we're a little short, we need some money, we give it to them. We found in the audit that the majority of the problems aren't financial. Yes, there's a financial issue. They need some ambulances, they need some equipment. The majority of the problems are operational. That's not for us to fix. It falls under the mayor's umbrella. It's up to the mayor to fix that. She stood at the podium and said, but I want your recommendation. You don't want my recommendation. Yes, I do. We need to know how commission wants us to handle this. Now, I'll tell you how the people want you to handle it. They want you to find a new director, somebody who's capable of taking care of the department and operating it properly, staying within the budget that they're given. I'm not going to vote yes on any package that's brought to us on how it should operate, other than within its means. Thank you.
Commissioner Emmert.
Thank you, Chairman. My sentiments exactly. I totally agree. As county commissioners, we are stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. We approved a budget this year. We approved this fiscal year budget. And then it's not a month later, Mr. Sweet's coming in with an $800,000 increase over the budget we approved. If Gary Long came in here and wanted more money to pave a certain road, we'd look at him and say, well, you've got a budget. And guess what? All the other departments have budgets. There's not a business in Anderson County or the state of Tennessee that doesn't have to work within their means. So I cannot go along with any more money given to them. I've heard a tax increase mentioned, and I would challenge commissioners this next year, I would buckle down and look at the budget hard. So that is up to the commission to determine whether there should be a tax increase. But if there's a tax increase due and it's just, then it's because we did our work and we did our homework to find out if we could have cut anywhere, if we could have done anything. And if we've not done that, we have not done the citizens just. We have not. We have not mentioned one time the volunteer fire departments. We very rarely ever, we don't even bring them up. They are so important to our communities. And we don't even discuss them. They need help more than anybody. The sheriff's department very rarely comes in here and asks us for any money. The only person that ever has really come in and asked us for anything is Chief Johnson. And we understand why we have to give them more money because of insurance. So that is just an unknown expense. We have no idea. But I challenge you, because people have not had pay raises in so long in Anderson County. There's people that work at the fire departments, the police officers, county employees. We need to be talking about them instead of just EMS. And I understand EMS is important to this community, but they still have a budget and they still need to work within that budget. So I do not recommend commission taking over any department of the mayor's. Let the mayor decide what has to be done. Let her make the comments and bring it to the county commission. We'll approve the budget or we don't approve the budget. So one of the recommendations I would make, as I would go along with Commissioner Scott, is that Nathan Sweet be terminated, that Shetterly come back and run the ambulance service, the EMS department like it should be, cut the budget back down to 5.4 million, and all this extra money that we supposedly have, and when we're in debt up to our eyeballs, so all this other money that we've got, then let's start giving, I guarantee you the police department's gonna start coming and asking for something. We're gonna have cars, they're gonna have, their payroll's gonna have to increase. There's so many things coming at us, and the only thing we hear about is EMS. So I think Shetterly, Sexton ought to be reinstated. Nathan Sweet ought to be terminated, he'd move on. And if the mayor can't run that department, then she needs to step aside and get somebody in there that can do the same thing. Thank you.
Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing that I would ask at this point, and it's kind of going along with Commissioner Scott and Commissioner Emmerich, one of the things that it just kind of occurred to me, we haven't been told what the capabilities are of EMS in providing the services. So I think it's time to hear what they are capable of delivering and what it's going to cost to deliver it. Thank you.
Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, and as to this audit, okay, we spent $40,000 to get an audit, and the primary finding of that audit was that the EMS had been dramatically underfunded since 2006. Okay, I also want to point out that there is no requirement of Tennessee state law for the counties to even provide any kind of ambulance service or EMS. It is not required. We have an EMS because this commission in those years decided to have one and decided to fund it. If it hadn't been for that, it would not happen. We therefore have the authority and responsibility to decide what the service looks like. And so tell the people up front before they design it what some of the basic criteria is and kind of the basic things you want. Do we want to have one? Do we want to have convalescent care or not? And how it's going to look as far as the timing. We can tell them that, but they're going to decide how to do this. The mayor's going to come back now with the help of the task force, and she's going to tell us, this is what we recommend. And at that point, we get to make the final decision. But I think it is proper, and I don't always get along with the mayor, and we don't always agree, but sometimes we agree, and in this case, we do. They needed some guidance so they could narrow the scope of what they're going to do. When it comes back to us, if any of it doesn't look like it works right, we can change it then. But it makes them coming back easier and faster. So we have the authority, we have the responsibility to decide what this looks like. And all we're doing with this motion is saying, hey, look, we think we need to have an EMS service in the county. We think that the convalescent care needs to be in stages and at different levels so we can spend less money. And that we accept the fact that the response all over the county is not going to be the same. But we're going to work to make it as good as we can get it. And that's all that this motion is about. I don't understand the controversy. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Do we have the motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman?
We don't have a motion.
Okay. Reason I ask is, and Mr. Chairman, I apologize. We flipped around so many things on the.
He read the motion, right?
No, he was reading the statement.
I did read the motion. We didn't get a motion, though, but we will. But before we start there, I wanted to, on page 181 of our agenda packet, there is an agreement between ambulance service provider and Covenant Home Care Hospice. So we have this agreement in front of us. We have this motion in front of us that, to me, I think would play a part in our decision on this. Have we taken up this item yet, Mr. Chairman? Because I do not recall, sir. Again, it's on page 181, the agreement between ambulance service provider and Covenant Home Care Hospice. it has been approved. Maybe it was going to be on Jay's agenda packet, because Jay, what?
Yeah. It was approved in purchasing.
Okay, again, I couldn't keep up with it all, but, so we've already approved that contract,
Yes.
correct? That's what we're saying? Okay. So, just to follow up, Mr. Chairman, what I recall as the chairman of the Operations Committee, the mayor, Nathan Sweet, was that this was the foundation for the mayor and Mr. Sweet to put together the business model, if you will, to bring to full commission. And these were the three items they felt were most important to them to develop that plan. Is that correct, Mayor?
To the comments that have been made, the auditors suggested this. And, I mean, we can come back with a plan. If I were going to bid on the EMS service, commission would have to craft what your expectations or performance expectations are. And then we put together the plan. Otherwise, I mean, it's very difficult to tell you what something can cost. For instance, if you want to do it the way, and we just come back and say, here's what Mayor Terry and what Nathan and the task force want, we can do that, but we thought it was more meaningful and productive. Ann is here. She's very aware. She can speak to this as well. We thought it was going to be walking hand in hand as the audit suggested. If we want to throw the audit out and just Nathan and Terry come back with a business plan, we can do that. The EMS department is a service that we provide to the public. It is a service, and our sheriff's department is a service, and we fund them. They bring in very little revenue in comparison to EMS by percentage. That revenue has been upped with the jail revenue, so we have, I think we're housing about 130 to 137, 38, I think I've seen it get up to in the last couple of weeks. State inmates that we're earning revenue from, and then we're housing approximately 30 to 33 to, I think, maybe a high water mark of 40, if I'm not mistaken. Lieutenant Val from Ray County, but it's down. Okay. So we're earning revenue from them, but we are doing a service. We pay for a lot of services in the county that don't generate revenue. If you look over time, the years that we've had an EMS department, and it has been subsidized, we only had a window of time where it was not subsidized. So I do want the fine men and women who work every day not to turn on this meeting and think that they're not appreciated for that revenue they bring in and the lives they are saving. They're doing a great job. And however you all want to do it, we'll come back however you want a business plan. I just thought, and Nathan thought, and the committee thought, this was actually discussed in our task force. Let's go to commission, let's get some guidance, what they would like to see. Do they want to be in the convalescent business, or do they want a 911 system only? I mean, those are just basic questions. If they're going to be bones of contention, we'll just do the work. We'll continue to put it out there to the public. We'll build our survey sites, and we can do it that way. It's not meant to be controversial.
Commissioner Warfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I know in the final audit meeting, I made the suggestion that the mayor and Nathan Sweet get together, work out short-term goals and long-term goals. Did we make a motion on that? When it come back to county commission, did we vote on that? I'm speaking just to the commissioners.
You did put a motion in place. Yes.
That's what the task force was for.
So are we talking about a long-term plan, or are we talking about a business model? Me, that's two different things. That's not long-term plans is not the same thing as a business model. No. So are we still going to, Mayor, I'll address this to you, are we still going to have those short-term and long-term plans for EMS?
Yes, and actually, as part of the budget process this year, County Commission, through your budget process, addressed some of the short-term issues, which, if you'll recall, the audit that was produced by Fitch and Associates had a list of critical items. They categorized those into different categories, and we have actually, as part of the task force, Ms. Jordan, for instance, has created her own template and organized them in her way. Randy Walters in Finance has gotten the document from Fitch and Associates so we can edit it, and we're going to check all of those off, and then the ones that are the longer term, the intermediate and the longer term, we're going to incorporate into that long-term plan.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I have somebody approaching the mic.
Come up, state your name, please, and your address.
I just want to introduce myself very briefly. My name is Ann Jordan. I'm actually the citizen participant on the mayor's task force on the 911 EMS committee, and I wanted to be here tonight. I spoke with some of you on the telephone. Oh, sorry. Thank you. I spoke with some commissioners earlier this week to try to get a little input too, and I'm very grateful for everything that happened with some of the exchanges. I know I talked to several of you. I can't say that I speak for everyone, but I am a citizen. I live in Commissioner Scott, Commissioner Creasy's district. My father lives at Canterfield. He was actually a consumer of the ambulance service several times during this past year. My husband was in an automobile accident. He was also a consumer of the ambulance service earlier this year too. So I have a little personal experience with the ambulance service, and I was very grateful that we did have an ambulance service here in Anderson County when my father and my husband were affected in the ways that they were. Anyway, I felt it was very important for the task force to work with the commission as closely as we could, because you have input from all of the people in your districts. There's also input from the county departments, and I think everyone's working for the same objective, that we just want to end up in the right place with regard to the ambulance service. And I want to do everything that I can to be a helpful contributor to that. My sense is that the mayor and other people on the task force do too. My sense is that all the commissioners that I spoke to felt that way as well. So anyway, I just wanted to put myself as a face with a name that some of you may have known and heard, and say that I welcome further communication with absolutely anyone who wants to talk about this, because I think it is very, very important to the county. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be part of the discussion. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just read the motion one more time. EMS Plan Task Force. Upon motion made by Commissioner Meade, seconded by Commissioner McCamey, to forward the letter as presented to full commission with a recommendation for review and approval based upon verbal concurrence with the mayor to accept Plan 2B 911 and convalescent in 2 division model, and number 3 to have variable response time. Motion passed by majority of vote.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Mr. Rosenbaum?
I'd just like to talk about the EMS response time. My mother's 95 years old. When she was 94 years old, we called an ambulance. Took them 48 minutes to make it to 432 Raccoon Valley. Upon getting there, they were more concerned whether she had mistaken her meds. She was having trouble breathing and couldn't swallow. After about 15 minutes of she doesn't administer her own meds, my sister is a LPN nurse, she administers the meds, they finally decided they need to take her to the hospital. Upon getting to the hospital, first thing they done was put her on oxygen. As it turned out, my mother had to have surgery. She had developed an esophagus sac. Never heard of it. It affects old people. I'm old. I may end up with one of them. It's sort of like a bowel obstruction in your colon. You develop a little sac, and it fills up with food, and it causes infection, and it swells. The whole gist of this statement is this. I asked, where did the ambulance have to come from? And they said, Clinton. I said, I could drive to Clinton and back twice in 48 minutes. In the future, and I told my sister this, if my mother needs to go to the hospital, call me. I got a car. I can take her to the hospital. Because the ambulance service didn't respond the way I felt like they needed to. Upon my discussion with Mr. Sweet about it, he said, well, we'll look at that. After she got home from the hospital, she received a bill for $800. Medicare said she only had to pay $200. So when we went to pay, I went to pay it. They said, well, okay, if that's all Medicare, that's all we paid. I understand. I thoroughly understand it takes money to operate, and I thoroughly understand it takes time to get somewhere. But when someone's having shortness of breath and can't swallow, why worry about if they're 93-year-olds, whether they, or 94-year-old, whether they mistook their meds or not? Get them to the hospital. Thank you.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you. I was looking back on the notes from March 2018 from the audit. There were 3 critical points that the auditors brought to our attention. They were capital. The other 38 points that needed attention, 33 of them are operating and 5 are critical. I simply wanted to bring that to you. Capital. And I simply wanted to bring that to your attention. It's, again, why I'm voting against this. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Say something. My name's Brent McKenzie, 488 Raccoon Valley Road. This EMS, for 3 years now, I watched the county commission meetings. For 3 years now, I've watched the mayor and the EMS director tell the county commission that you all have no say whatsoever on what goes on at the EMS. And now all of a sudden, when she needs a decision or he needs a decision made, it's all on you all. So my suggestion is, what do we have an EMS director that we're paying probably $90,000 to $100,000 a year for? He's the one that needs to be telling the county what we need and what we don't need, not the other way around. So just wanted to bring that, Also, I think I would have me 3 models, 3 plans, and I would open it for bid to see exactly where I stand in the national scale of things or not. We may be paying, maybe getting a heck of a deal, we may not be. I believe there's a lot of companies that make a good living doing this, so I would open it up to bid and see exactly where we stand with all this. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Smallridge.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, was the motion on the floor, was this approved by the Operations Committee?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Smallridge.
Okay. It seems to me, as Commissioner Mead has said, all we're doing is saying, this looks like the preferable model, and, let's look at that. Let's take a close look at that model. It's a guideline, I think, for the mayor and the director of EMS. So, I think it's a reasonable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't see any funds attached to the response on this motion. This is just an organizational, and I appreciate the folks that have stepped up to the microphone, the constituents speaking. I can't disagree with the some of the comments they made. So what we were voting on is the 3 items that the mayor and Mr. Sweet presented to us in operations, and I suspect at some point in the future they'll come to us with a financial requirement, and then we can review those at that time. So we have a motion, and I guess it's time to vote.
Have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nope.
2 noes. Motion passes. Thank you.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, we got one quick thing, then we're going to take a little break. Oh, I'm sorry.
On the Operations Committee thing, there was a segment there was talking about the neglected homes and everything. There's a home on, let's see, 126 Pine Ridge Lane that the law director has already brought before the commissions, already took before the judges, and everything like that. The judge has already ruled on it and has already collected up to $132,000 in fines. We've got $10,000 in a fund out there that we approved where we can tear down homes. This home, you go out there and look at it, you can't even see that there's even a house on that piece of property. The judge has already ruled on it. All we need to do, the only action we need to do is ask the zoning office to set bids on it to see how much it costs to tear that property down. And I'd like to, this commission, to ask the zoning office to put some bids out to see how much it would cost to raise that piece of property. And so I'd like to make that as a motion.
Second. Have a motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Next, we got Commissioner Alderson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was brought to my attention that as far as nominating chairman, and we've conferred with Jay, we didn't have somebody running in District 1 as a constable. So we're going to advertise it. It's handled like any other elected office, just like commissioner or something. We'll take applications. It'll come up before commission and nominate from the floor, just like has been done in the past. But we are going to advertise for applications for a District 1 constable. If you guys happen to know anybody that would be interested or anything, I haven't been able to talk to Mr. Barker yet. Didn't know if he might have a suggestion, but I wanted y'all to be up front that we do need somebody in that district as a constable. Thank you.
Is the constable districts the same as commissioner districts?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, they're different, but the majority of that area,
Okay.
okay? But that will be done.
Yeah, there's about 2 commissioner districts in each constable district. There's
That's what I
4
thought.
Request to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Alderson, I appreciate the information on the nominating. I have spoken to Jennings Faust. I would like to make a motion, and I understand the process will be go through the nominating, but I would like to make a motion to have Mr. Jennings Faust as a candidate for District 1. I've spoke to Mr. Faust. He's interested in maintaining that position, and I think he's done a great job for District 1 over the years and would be an asset to have him again as constable. So that would be my intent. I don't know the process going forward. I think there had to be 10 days notice. I'm not sure if we've met the 10 days notice as we speak tonight, but if we have, I'd like to make the motion tonight.
Well, to my knowledge, it's just going to be advertised tomorrow because it's not been brought up. Jay, is that possible, or don't we have to give notice?
You have to give a 10-day notice on any
That's what I thought.
statutory office. It's not been done yet.
I apologize. I thought it had already been noticed.
No, goes tomorrow and on the website tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Let's take a short 10-minute break.
next is supposed to be Dr. Parrott, but we're going to let Gary Long slide right in front of you one time.
I just start early.
But before you get started, we got some from Commissioner.
But it's showing Commissioner Wendell. I wanted to make a motion. And you're it.
Mr. Chairman, I defer my motion to Commissioner Scott.
I wanted to make a motion that we go do a board vote on the item from the operation committee regarding the EMS.
On the EMS?
Yes. That we do a board vote on it.
Need a recorded vote.
Recorded vote.
Yes, sir,
On the motion that just last passed.
by voice.
Mr. Chairman, we done got, Mr. America's already left, and he voted one way for it already.
Well, I think his vote was yes. I think there was on a recorded 2 noes. But we can go ahead, you know, if we got a second on this, I don't care a bit to go ahead.
Voice vote.
Yeah, by voice vote. Any discussion on that? All in favor on doing just a recorded vote,
Please.
say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's go to the board and vote.
Thank you.
This is,
On
would
the
you
motion that we just
clarify that?
passed, right?
Yeah,
What is it?
ever how you voted on the voice vote, that's what we're gonna do, we're gonna record it.
On which motion?
That was on the EMS.
Okay.
Well, we had one affirmative vote that's not here now, so it does make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nothing is, by parliamentary procedure, you can change your vote at this point in time, too. Oh. Guess I shouldn't even pay attention.
Motion passes with 4 no votes. Emmett, Orfield, Scott, and Yeager.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'd like to present the inventory list for the Highway Department at this time, for the record.
Motion second, any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with unanimous voice vote.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Parrott.
Thank you, Chairman Isbell. And just a couple of things I want to talk about in my report. I hope you got a chance to read the report. We were really busy this summer, and some great things are happening in Anderson County Schools. And just a couple of them, one of them that we're really proud about is that, you know, we really try to do things that help our employees, because sometimes our employees, as was stated tonight, sometimes they don't make a lot of money and everything. So we started an in-house daycare for our employees. We have one that goes from 6 weeks to 3 years at Claxton Elementary School. If you want to come by and just uplift your day, come in there. They are fully stocked now. I think there's about 16 children in there. And then on September 4th, we will open up the 3- and 4-year-old one, and we'll be at Clinton Middle School. And that's in conjunction with our Career Academy that we've turned Clinton Middle School in. So our students actually will be working with those students. And the great thing about it is, not only do we care for for those children, we will be using the same curriculum that we use for our Head Start. So it's just not a babysitting service. We will be working with those students. So that's one of the great things. Another thing is, we had 125 teachers at our teacher depot on the Saturday right before school started. In our report, we gave out $22,000 worth of supplies last year. And it was amazing to see those teachers come in. They brought in their wagons and their carts and their kids and had a great time, and it is empty now. So if you would like to donate back to it, we have another one, will be the 1st of October, and it will be during the week. So those are just a few things. The other thing, our grad rate, as you know, it's a year in the lag. So when the report card comes out, it's 16, 17, but right now, 17, 18, the group that just finished, our graduation rate is 97.22. And that is amazing. And so the other things, you know, trying to make sure that we are very conscious of our money. We did a lot of maintenance over the summer, and I can say this for a fact that we don't cover anything up. If it needs to be fixed, we fixed it. We've been abating a lot of our schools that have tile on top of tile, and we're pulling it all the way down and putting that back. If you've been to Anderson County, the track looks amazing. Our school's got a fresh coat of paint. I have to do a shout out for Frank Davis. I went to school with Frank Davis. If you need any painting done, and I'm not supposed to say this, but he does an amazing job for our school system. You see him on Saturdays and Sundays at night, and I know he doesn't charge us for all them hours, but Frank does a fantastic job helping us. So at that time, I will take any questions that you might have.
Mr. Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it was a leftover from last time, but I'm happy to be first on this one anyway. Dr. Parrott, I noticed, and you're right, there's many, many good things going on in the school system, and I just wanted to point out, being a veteran, that I did notice the Clinton High School Junior ROTC and their participation and how they finished 10th among 900 plus Air Force Junior ROTC programs across the nation, and that is just tremendous. And I really thank you and the folks involved at Clinton High School and everyone that helps participate with those young men and women. And and I know the Anderson County has a great program as well. So I just want to thank you for that. That's a great item we offer.
It is an amazing program. They've already started a new team. It's the way that competition is, you can't do it 2 years in a row. It's kind of like the FFA. You know, you have to start out with a new team every year. And so they've already started out with a new team, so we're excited about that, and they do a fantastic job.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Yeager.
Thank you. I know the first couple months of enrollment is pretty fluid. What's it look like so far?
Right now, we finished the year at 6207, and today we were at 6250. So we're up about 45 students, and like you say, it's fluid. It keeps moving around and everything. One of the things we have started this year, we've done a pilot, is, you know, we've had an online high school for about 6 years. And we have found out that through our research and talking with parents, there's a lot of our middle school students that have anxiety more than they used to. So we started a pilot of an online middle school, and we've got a person hired for that. And I think right now we've got about 4 or 5 students enrolled in that, and we've got room for about 20 students. So as you know, we're about every student every day, so whatever it takes to make them successful.
Great, thanks.
Mr. Warfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Parrott, is it the honor that we found out about for Anderson County High School, that huge honor, is it too early to get you to tell the public about that?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Something about scoring a number 5?
I think we need to, yeah, it's not out yet, but the scores as a district, even with all the mess up in tests right now, as a district is a level 3. There's a lot of our schools, especially Anderson County High School, that was a level 5. That means a level 3 is 1 year of yearly progress. A level 5 means that you exceeded that, you were excellent in that. And we had about 8 schools to do that. Our biggest problem was middle schools, and as you know, we had about 1,000 students that took the wrong test, and they said they fixed everything, and we're looking at data today, and we've got fifth grade results at our middle schools. So there's some problems with that. But I think even with all the problems we had was a great. The other thing that Mr. Warfield was talking about is that we had more students take AP courses than ever in Anderson County schools this year, and we scored above the state and national average on those scores. So I think not only are we doing a good job with the regular kids, our highest, as we call them, our high flyers, they're doing a fantastic job.
Well, it takes not just the students, but it takes takes a family to do that.
It does,
It takes the
and-
teachers, it takes you guys at central office, and, for that to happen, go from a 3 to a 5, that's astronomical.
Yes. And I think that overall, we've still got some concerns when you think about that. We just started this year, last year we started a new math curriculum called Eureka Math, and we started with a pilot K-5. This year it's K-12, and it is probably one of the best online it's the best curriculum we know. And in K-5 now we have an English curriculum called Wit and Wisdom. And our teachers, they are overwhelmed right now, but they've taken that, our coaches have, and they're really and truly, they're digging into that curriculum, and it is amazing. I invite you to come out on any Wednesday afternoon when we're doing our professional learning communities and watch them. You would be amazed at what they're doing.
Commissioner Scott.
Thank you. Dr. Parrott, thank you very much for continuing on with the Teacher Supply Depot. I do hear from teachers that they appreciate it very much. And I simply wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wendell.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just one quick question. Dr. Parrott, flu shots?
Yes, we will have flu shots this year. We've already started. I've already signed the letter, and it'll be going out within the next couple of weeks, and we're going to try to do them, I think, the last of September, the 1st of October. And we are working. We always try to work with our local pharmacies to make sure they help us with those flu shots. And
those are provided to the students at no charge?
No cost, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Any other
Actually,
questions?
to our employees, too, at no cost.
Awesome, thank you. Good point.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
County Mayor.
A hard time unfolding there. The first item on the agenda, requesting approval of Resolution 1808701. This authorizes Anderson County to make an application for an education and outreach grant through TDEC for our solid waste department. And this basically would be a lot of signage and information at our convenience centers.
Move for approval.
It's listed. You can second it.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next item is the annual request, the intergovernmental agreement between the United States Department of Energy and Anderson County regarding payment in lieu of taxes. The amount that would be submitted is Exhibit 1 in that packet, which is 2018, $8,466 per acre. The DOE acreage Anderson County side that's within the Oak Ridge city limits is 11,464.16. You see the appraisal value there. The assessment rate is based on the state of the land when DOE acquired it. That's why that number is there. And then you see the assessment and then the county tax rate. And the indicated in lieu of tax that we are requesting is $629,405.43.
Commissioner Scott, are you making a motion to approve?
Yes, sir.
And Commissioner, could we have a first and a second? That would be Commissioner Yeager.
Thank you.
For discussion.
Is this unchanged from previous year or?
It actually is, I don't know if I brought that up here. It's actually a little bit less because DOE transferred some land. They did it last year, but even the property is counted January 1, when they're still possessing it. So last year we were paid for those acres, but this year they're off. So I think it's like $2,000 difference.
Okay.
I can email that exact number to you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Wandale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor was kind enough to give me a call earlier. I had just general questions about the DOE payment in lieu of tax information. I just want to read quickly the amount of acreage, as the mayor pointed out, is 11,464.16 acres. The appraised value of that land at the $8,466 per acre is $97,055,578.56. It is assessed at a rate for farms based on the 1954 Atomic Energy Act at 25%, bringing the assessment at 24 million plus. And its tax rate is based on the Oak Ridge rate of $2.59.4 there. And the mayor just indicated the amount. The question and the things that I've asked the mayor, maybe for next year, because I certainly don't want to interfere with the funds coming in for this year, but you know, I did a little bit of research, and it doesn't mean a whole lot, but nuclear regulatory legislation of the 109th Congress first session, published in June of 2005, there's a section 168, payment in lieu of taxes. To me, it opens up, Jay, an opportunity for our county to reevaluate, and I'm in agreement with the mayor that we should team up with Roane County and Oak Ridge, City of Oak Ridge, and we need to take a serious look at what needs to be paid to the county, to the city, and to the Roane County. I'm a little bit concerned that we have 4 major contractors that are not taxed any dollars whatsoever for personal equipment, anything. We are agreeing in this agreement right here to waive that for all of those contractors, and I understand they provide jobs, but I also understand that everyone should pay their taxes. So, you know, I'm going to vote for this time, but Mayor, I would like to get with you, and I would like to bring this to the Revenue Committee, and I'd like for us to start evaluating this going into 2019 for the DOE payment in lieu of tax. I don't want to interfere with the school funds, as you mentioned, and I think that's a wise decision. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Voice vote was unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then the last item, I've gone back in time and done some research on the issue of the 105 walking trail, and I'm coming to you all to lay that information out and then ask that maybe we assign this to the appropriate committee to try to work something out on this, whether that be the Highway Committee, Budget Committee, Operations Committee, wherever you all would like to present it. But as you can see, I put in there the documentation going back in time. Anderson County actually put together, knowing that there were issues with the Arcadian Springs subdivision, work was not being performed. Anderson County actually put together an agreement. It was signed by multiple people. That's in your packet. And then you will see that there was an error with the previous staff in that office where they never received the additional performance bond pursuant to those contract terms for Arcadian Springs subdivision. And you'll see there in the email that Jay was very upset about that. And then I also put in there what Mr. Crowley sent to Lexon Surety. So there were, the various phases had different bonds. So we revoked bonds for, I think, phase 1 and 2, even 3. And the phase 4 and 5, the bond was under Lexon Surety. And so in that packet there, I've put the letter that was sent to Lexon when we revoked the bond. And you will see that that area is actually in there as no work had actually even been performed there. And it was measured off. A map was attached. There were also bids received, and I put that in there from Rogers Group. Those were transmitted to Lexon Surety, so we told them this is the work that's going to be done. So I think we owe it to the homeowners out there, and then also we have another lot that's there. And I think we owe it to them to do the work. We revoked the bonds based on our statement that we would do the work. And I don't think it's fair to them that we hold them accountable for the failures of that then planning staff who did not put the performance bonds in place that they were required to, and that agreement that Anderson County put in place in 2011 said we would do. So I did ask Gary a while back if he would meet me out there, maybe we could come up with an idea The next phase of that subdivision, that never happened. So there is an individual homeowner who is building a place, and I think Jay knows his name. Maybe there's something we can work out with him, but I think we need to get the work done.
Commissioner Emmer.
Jay, I mean, it's still private, is it not? I mean, regardless. I mean, I thought there was two different maps. I've always been told that there was a map that started the development, and then when Mr. Anderson, when the economy bellied up, then, of course, there were different homeowners associations out there, and that became, those failed, those started falling apart. But then that walking trail, it was
Walking
never
horse
even,
trail.
it was never even accepted. It wasn't even on the first go-around.
No, it wasn't named. There was a spur
Right.
there that was drawn at the time. We do have a little bit leverage, as the mayor mentioned to you. The new developer that purchased all the remaining lots has one lot beyond the one that's affected, where the house is already built, the building permit issued. So if he ever wants to develop that, and I've communicated this to the mayor, we need to hold him responsible for that road, or else we're in the same situation as we are with the other lot. But I'm hopeful that he may sell that lot. And we could say at this time, hey, you need to put down a bond, or you need to go ahead and do the work, because you're not going to be able to get a building permit on this additional lot. That's facing their home to the right. That one's still available. So hopefully that'll come to fruition, and we'll be able to capture that, because he's got a useless lot until he puts a county road or builds a county road to our specs there.
Okay, but if he don't sell it, then we can't make him do anything, correct?
No, unless he's going to market it, then at that point we can start looking at it. But no, he can't, if he sells it, that may in itself be okay, but the whole issue is coming to get a building permit. The zoning resolution states that he has to have road frontage or a building permit won't be issued. And this is an issue, as I've mentioned before, that is really more of a communications issue, and I want to try to work that out with David, and Gary and all of us need to work a little bit better and try to help one another. We need to make sure that David has got an updated county road list that he can look at in his office, right below the counter in a binder, so he can, when somebody comes in and applies for a building permit, he can do a quick glance of his county road list, which changes, of course, as you see the highway committee approving various new streets. Well, they're added to the county road list. Gary keeps that list. He files it with the county clerk once a year, but it is modified during the year, and he needs to keep a copy or send David a copy, and that'll help the staff. That would alleviate this type of issue. But in the future, on this particular, we got two routes. We can either wait till that gentleman tries to develop that additional lot, or we can go in there and pave. I would think it's probably about 60 feet to cover that entire lot. But they've got to have road frontage on a county road, 25 feet. The 50-foot rule would not apply in this case. It's not, you can't subdivide that lot.
But is it still technically private?
What's private?
The house that was built there now, the ones that don't have the road frontage now. Is it
Right,
still
it's-
private property?
Yeah,
But the
I get-
county can't do, if it's a private property and it does not face road frontage.
That's
then-
right. That's the whole problem here
Yeah.
on this particular case.
So the
But
permit should not
What the
been
mayor's
issued?
proposing is send it to a committee, and I think she's looking, like a highway committee? Is that what you're thinking about, Mayor? And
Well,
try to get funding, get an estimate, or get 3 estimates and see where we stand on doing that little bit of piece
Yes.
of road?
Well,
Or wait.
here's the issue. The permit was not issued inappropriately because there is a recorded map in the Register of Deeds office that recorded those two lots. The state law says that from and after the time when the platting jurisdiction of any regional planning commission has attached as provided, no building permit shall be issued and no building shall be erected on any lot within the region unless one of the 4 criteria is met. the street corresponds in its location and lines with a street shown on a subdivision plat approved by the Planning Commission, which it was, and recorded in the Register of Deeds office, which it was, and the conjunctive, whenever a street or other infrastructure improvements as denoted on the plat have not been completed, there shall be an adequate, valid, and enforceable bond. And the issue is that was bonded. It was under a bond. And when we went to revoke that bond, there was not enough bond in place. And David did the right thing, and he notified Lexon Surety. That was a legal request where he was saying this part has not even been built. So we've got a problem. If we're going to view this as it shouldn't have been, we're viewing it the wrong way, then we collected money based on our statement that we were going to build that. I mean, we collected the money. And that was signed, and a map was attached to that letter to Lexon, and the bids from Rogers Group were sent to Lexon. So Anderson County said, we're taking this money and we're going to use it for this purpose. And at that point, if we're not doing that, then we need to go back and correct that. Now, it's not Lexon's fault that we didn't set the bonds high enough. And Anderson County said, we recognize that this is getting ready to go into failure and we want additional bonds. The staff at that time did not do that. They failed. So it's not, yes, now it's not on a road, but we did revoke the bonds saying, acknowledging that number of feet was measured out. It was noted in the bid documents from Rogers Group that nothing, no work had been done, no grading, nothing. So if we did that, then we essentially, I don't know what the legal term is, but in essence, we lied and said, we're going to use it for this purpose, and we did not use it for the full purpose we stated.
Is there a motion on that, Mayor, for the 105 walking trail, or do you need a motion?
Well, I mean, I can work with the road superintendent. We can maybe put together what would it cost. I know Gary's innovative. Maybe he has some ideas where we can work our way out of this. But I think we have to come up with some solution. We can't leave the folks on the hook forever. And, you know, whatever you all think is appropriate, the best place.
May I still?
Yes, yes, sir, sorry.
Where would the money come from if Gary worked something out, or this have to come?
Well, more than likely, excuse me, Mayor, more than likely it's going to be undesignated reserve. But there is this. In 2006, we entered into a master settlement agreement with the City of Clinton, Rogers Group, and some homeowners on the eastern part of the interstate. They promised us a certain amount of asphalt for 10 years. I believe that there is a little bit of asphalt remaining in there. They do not. But if I go back and audit it, there's several years we didn't use our allotted amount of asphalt. Towards the end, we did. They came up with a figure of roughly $40,000, and if you remember, this body approved it to finish Arcadian Springs. I think I need to go back and take a strong look at that and make sure we've got every penny we were supposed to get from that master settlement agreement, under that master settlement agreement from Rogers Group. Then the other issue is this. Do you want to wait till this developer wants to sell this lot beside of us, beside the other lot in question? Leverage that point, get him to put in the county road. He's not going to be able to get a building permit until that road is put in. Or do we want to extend that road? And I think this is what the mayor is talking about. Do we want to extend it from the intersection up there that's definitely a county road down to the required amount where the folks get at least 25 foot of road frontage or to the end of their lot. That's going to be a decision for this body, and we'll have to get it priced both ways. But the starting point is to let myself and the mayor and Gary work together with purchasing. We'll get some bids out there and see exactly what we're talking about. I know a lot of you want to know, what's the number here? And we don't know that number. And so I'll work with Gary and the mayor. We'll try to get some estimates together, see where we're at. And there's a couple things that Rogers Group has allowed us to do before that's helped us. They've been good neighbors in the past. And let's see how far we can go with these options right now. Mayor, are you looking for a resolution tonight, or do we still have a little bit of time to work on this?
I just had time to go back through and pull all those old letters and documents and
Yes,
put
ma'am.
this together, so I just wanted to make the first step, get it sent to a committee, and let's
What
try to
about
come up-
highway? Is that okay?
That sounds great to me.
Commissioner Creasy?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, I really meant to push the button to speak, but it turned out I hit the motion to, so I'll make a motion to send it to Highway
Second?
Committee, but I wanted to discuss it at the same time.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Okay.
And in my discussion, I would love for someone to go down to the building permit office and put a sign up that says, do not issue a building permit to Arcadia Springs. I would love to see that. And have a note on there, call the mayor and call the law director, call them both before they issue it.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion?
Yes, I'd like to. And the reason for that, somebody may come in there because the building industry is picking up. Houses sell within days in Oak Ridge. They don't stay on the market. You have to go get in line to buy a house in Oak Ridge. And I'm sure it's going that way up in North Anderson County too. And somebody's going to develop that. Somebody's going to come in there and develop Arcadia Springs if the economy keeps going the way it's going.
And there's lots available on county roads up there right now.
Yeah. And so somebody's going to come in there for a building permit. And please put a sign up, because that'll, in other words, we got leverage if a building permit isn't issued. We've got leverage, and we can maybe wait it out due to the economy increase.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
That was my comment. That's
Okay.
what I was push the button for.
Commissioner Smallridge?
Yeah. Mayor, I think you said some money was collected from the bond, but not enough. Was that
Yes,
correct?
I think
Was-
$112,000 from Phase 4 and Phase 5, which was woefully inadequate. And in fact, Rogers Group did kind of help us subsidize some of the work that was done. And even though, I mean, I don't think we did some of the curbing and stuff that was supposed to be done, but we managed to stretch it as far as we could.
And that money was used then to do some further work there? Is that-
Yes, it was, but it was not. I mean, that's what I'm saying on this particular portion. This was included in the bid documents that was submitted to Lexon Surety. And so we did revoke those bonds based on, we are going to be doing work on that area. We just didn't do the work on that area.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the motion and the second on putting this to the Highway Committee? Any more discussion? Hearing none, we should now proceed to vote. All those in favor of referring this to the Highway Committee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Is that all
Thank
that
you,
you got?
Vice Chairman. That's all I have on my
Okay.
agenda.
Thank you, ma'am. Law Director's report.
I have no action items for tonight unless anybody has any questions on my written report or any other issue.
Any questions for the Law Director?
Just,
Go ahead, Mr.
no, I just,
Commissioner Smallridge.
had you mentioned the charter motion?
Yeah, that's under new business, I
Oh, I'm
believe.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry.
coming up under.
Do you want to take that up now, or how close are we?
Dan?
We got 9 and 10 to go through with. We've done 2 of the things under reports from committee. So, I mean, you're up here now. Let's just go ahead and do it now.
Okay. You got a extension resolution in front of you. We need to get that passed for the Charter Commission.
Is there a second? It's been moved and approved that, what was the motion again now?
Extend the charter resolution.
Extend the charter resolution.
Charter Commission.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, it's time to proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
No.
Let the record refer that there was one no vote by Commissioner Wendell.
Is there any other questions or issues I can address for you?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, I'm sorry,
That's
Commissioner
all right. I
Wendell.
apologize, trying to hit the button here. Jay?
Yes, sir.
What, I didn't see the resolution in front of me. Maybe I got it somewhere and I
It's
misplaced it.
on your email probably, and I
okay.
handed out.
And what's the purpose we're extending the charter resolution?
They need additional time to possibly comply with court orders. I want to keep that body intact. They work hard.
So the summary that we received in our box, those
That
were
was
out of
status
order
report.
or
That was a status report.
status report? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else I can do for you? Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Go ahead and ask.
All right, number 9 is the EMS Department Detailed Monthly Report requested by Commissioner Warfield.
Thank you, Acting Chairman. At the last meeting, there was a statement that was made that on the detailed monthly report to commission that there was no motion made by County Commission. Went back one year exactly on July 17th of 2017, and you got this before you. That in fact, I made the motion and Commissioner Scott seconded that motion under new business. And that was supposed to be a detailed monthly report of expenditures and revenues. Now, since we've already passed July of 2018, my motion is, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Director of EMS provide County Commission for this next fiscal year a detailed monthly report of expenditures and revenues.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I think the next item is reports from committees. We've already done the Budget Committee, the Operations Committee, so we'll go to B, ADA Committee Report requested by Commissioner Creasy.
Yeah, and rather than have it on consent agenda, I wanted to bring you up to date. Excuse me. As you recall, we're being required by the Transportation Department of the Tennessee to make sure we're in 100% compliance with a 28-year-old law that was passed. And we requested $15,000, hired an engineering firm to do part of this work for us, do an assessment of our buildings, which our committee did 20-some years ago. And we didn't record it as required specifically by the law, but we did it. And from that assessment, we made our buildings accessible. The engineering firm has come and repeated our assessment, and they have recorded what they found wrong. They found the buildings accessible, but some of the curb cuts, instead of being perfectly level, they may be a little bit like this on a slant. So they recorded all the errors that they found, which in our case at the courthouse, the curb cuts will be corrected, if they're ever corrected, would be done by the city of Clinton rather than Anderson County. But some of our schools, the same thing. But the report, I was very happy with it. And I have a draft copy here. And when I first looked at it, they said, well, it doesn't say anything about what's in compliance. It only has errors. And that's what an assessment is what's wrong. So they recorded what was wrong, what will have to be done to correct it. And now the next report will be due December the 1st, 2019. to show our transition plan, how we're going to take care of that. So the engineering firm is helping us with that. But I wanted to tell you in person and let you see that for yourself. And if you'd like to look at the draft, I can let you leave the copy of the report down in the office.
Thank you, sir.
That's my report.
Any other discussion for Commissioner Creasy? Thank you, sir. Moving along, item number 11, under old business, update from the mayor on the requested appraisal of 205 South Main Street building, requested by Commissioner Denenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, where are we on the appraisal for the 205 building?
The appraiser will have it. He put in writing that he will have it completed by the end of the month. He has already been on site. Roger let him in to look at the actual facility. So it will be in your hands by the end of the month.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That concludes old business. Is there any new business? Any other new business? Well, I got one thing to say. Sorry, Commissioner Emmert, I apologize. I'm not used to that.
That's okay.
It's hard to use.
Now that I can talk, I want to thank all the commission. It's been an honor and a privilege. I can't say enough about this group, this body here, especially the new commissioners. Jay, it's been a pleasure and it's been an honor serving with you. Annette, Brian, Mayor, everybody in county government. It has absolutely been an honor. You're a great group of individuals. Keep it that way. Work hard for the county. I can't say enough about you guys, and like I said, thank you so much. And to the 17th Commissioner, Mary Murphy, I want to thank her for all she did for me too. So, but thank you all again. I appreciate it.
You mentioned Carly, you got to Austin.
Oh, Carly Emmert. Yeah, my daughter, my son, Austin Emmert and Carly Emmert. So, and my wife again. So, but thank you guys. It's been an honor. Thank you.
I would like to echo everything that Commissioner Emmert said. We've worked very well together. I'm pleased with the decisions that we've made as a group. Now, since I've got the floor, I'm going to talk negative. Guys, we have had the most ungodly amount of lawsuits in this county that I have ever seen. A lot of frivolous lawsuits that could have been taken care of a long time ago. And a lot of lawsuits that shouldn't have never came to be. We've got a bunch that we're going to lose. Go ahead and tell you, and you all know the ones that I'm talking about. But it's been an honor for me to sit here with a distinguished group of individuals that couldn't say it over there. Kind of like Steve, I get emotional about stuff. But it's been an honor for me to serve with, as my dad said, the best group of county commissioners that he's ever seen, and he'll be 89 in December. So for those of you that know my dad, for him to say something like that,
I know.
that's a hell of a deal. Okay. If there's no more business, is there a second? Second. Meeting adjourned.